We are going to get the commissioners meeting started for June 7th, 2021. We have a quorum present. We begin with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're gonna move the flag on your gun.
I didn't know.
You missed so much.
Okay, the very first thing
I'm gonna ask you all day this evening.
are the meeting minutes from the May 17th, 2021 meeting. Does anyone have any changes, corrections? Here,
I'll second.
first and second, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have payroll. Everyone had a chance to look at the payroll.
Yes.
Any changes, suggestions, anything on that?
Nope.
I move that we approve the payroll as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And finally, you notice that Commissioner Hunsitter, these were all signed.
I wasn't allowed to approve
I
it.
think
I think they were
I
good.
think I was the last one to go through.
Okay,
You signed them all.
that's what I was saying. It's sometimes when I have a question on them, I ask the auditor to help sign that section, so I think we're in good shape. I move that we approve the expense report. I move that we approve the expense report, the claims against the county as presented.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it is approved. Highway supervisor report.
Basically a schedule.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. Item one, the seal coating that we did with the aspen fog seal was successfully applied on the proposed roads that we did for the season. Everything went very smoothly, all the way from the application process to the drying process, as well as the traffic control. A lot of everybody was, good and patient, and we helped them through. Basically what we had was a flagger at each end of the project, and then every county road intersection in between, we had a flagger there. We also had a pace truck taking you from one end to the other, turn around and coming back. So if it was an east-west road, we had the pace truck going from east to west. The traffic would follow in behind the pace truck and take them all the way through. If there was somebody on a county road, they had to wait until we went through, then the pace truck would turn around and bring traffic back the other way. And it was a constant back and forth, but it went well. So,
Is that common to do that?
huh?
Is that common to do that? I've never been involved in that.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's a good idea. Keeps them going at a speed that you're happy with, keeps everybody safe.
Yeah, and the traffic was limited to one lane
Right.
because the other one is drying. So with the flaggers we had in different areas, sometimes there's homes in between there where, we put something out that they're aware of it, but sometimes somebody may not think about it and try to pull out. So that's why we have our pace truck in front. We keep the traffic slow. That can come to, a hill there's that. So everything worked out well. So
Was 525 on that list with seal coat?
it's on our chip and seal
Chip
list.
seal.
That schedule should be on the back of the report that I sent you. I stapled that together and we'll kind of go through that. That should be that schedule should be on the back of the report that I sent you. I stapled that together and we'll kind of go through that a little bit, but,
I remembered reading it and I went,
yeah,
Middle road.
Last one.
it's a chip seal overlay.
oh, I see it now,
yeah,
yeah,
and,
I see it now.
but yeah, I think, the ones we were doing with the Aspen, I think it was, Holland Road East, Hayesville Road West, Sanitation, Arrowhead Subdivision in Ireland, 300 North and 330 North. And then we're also gonna be doing some later on this summer. I believe it's gonna be, the unfinished part from Kellerville Road that we didn't do last year. This is gonna be with with Rex on those. I also did talk with someone, up at the conference that we were at last week, with Seal Master, said that it went really well and they were likely to discount us quite a bit on our, proposal, which is going to leave us some additional money to possibly do some more. So we may look at that as well, but really satisfied with how the product turned out. We're looking at striping as soon as the weather allows us. So everything's going good. So
Any issues with any homeowners on 300 North or anything? Is that cleared up?
not since our prep work. No.
Right, I didn't know if there was any changes there.
And,
Well, I thought,
Yeah, I did get a call and I talked to Steve about it from the guy who a couple of years ago was having rock washed down into his driveway. So after that 3.5 inch rain the other day, he called again and said it's back to happening. And I drove out there and I didn't see a lot on our road, and that was kind of my response, that until it becomes a safety hazard on our road, there's not a lot we can do about it.
I did address the issue a couple of years ago when this first came up, and I had a talk with that landowner because, and it gets back to the reason why we pull the shoulders back and do the berming, if there's anybody on YouTube that's listening, but his driveway actually serves as the waterway for everything that comes down that hill. So if there's no place for the water to go, it's going to go down that driveway and wash out all of the gravel and everything. And I think at that time, the gravel, so much water came down there that the gravel did go across the roadway, which became a safety issue. And I went up there and discussed it with him and talked to him about crowning the road, providing ditches or swales at the edge of the road so the water can actually, and since it's such a steep hill, maybe provide an occasional berm to actually direct the water off to the side of the road, because if you're on a slope, it really doesn't matter so much the ground, it's still going to come, gravity's going to pull it straight down the hill. So if there's a berm to help direct that water off, that will also help get it where it's supposed to be and not wash the gravel out. So,
And as that gravel washes down onto that driveway and into that drain, that's likely to fill up that pipe. I don't know how far that goes. Does that go all the way down to the corner?
I believe it does.
And, and that's his pipe, I guess, and so that's going to create additional problems for him at some point.
So, I mean, we can have another discussion with him again and let him know, because he did nothing to change it from the first time I talked to him. And, if it becomes a safety issue, then we've got some standing, that we can have him do something. But, if it's not, we don't really have much jurisdiction over there. So hopefully they can, as good neighbors, can work it out between themselves. Hopefully they can, as good neighbors, can work it out between themselves and do it like it ought to be. So,
Rain's not always friendly.
pardon?
Or I said rain isn't always friendly, it does things we don't want it to do.
Right.
We can't control all
So, okay, the improvement of County Road 990 North. A landowner had requested gravel on a portion of this road, which is currently exists as a dirt road. And I think we had brought this up at the commissioner meeting back on April the 19th. According to our policy 0917-18, it states that the county would gravel the road if the owner has a homestead tax credit on the property. If it does not, such as in this case, the owner would pay for the gravel. She's agreed to do that. So
We put it down?
yeah. So that's taken care of. There is going to be, I think, this person's I think a grandchild or something that's going to move in there, and it's going to be there for a little bit. And I think the son is planning on moving there once the grandson has done something with that. There is going to be, there's a mailbox there now. They are getting mail, so
It'll be a resident.
Eventually they'll have a homestead credit on it.
You only get the homestead credit if you have a mortgage, all right?
No.
No,
No?
no.
Okay.
Only if you live in it.
Okay, okay.
They're
Well,
permanent
they have
residents and they can only have one.
Yeah, so if it's a rental, they wouldn't get it.
Right.
Okay. Or if it's a grandma's name, she's letting you live there for free, you still don't get it. But in this case, again, it benefits the whole county to have rock on the road, so we can put in a little bit of time and they put in the rock. So
yeah, kind of a cost share thing.
Mhm.
So they paid for the materials and we put it down. And at this point here, there was no basic improvement to widen anything. No right of way was granted. This is just to help someone get them to their property, which they plan on living at. So that's kind of what we had done a couple of years ago with someone else, I think on the other side of this very same road. So. Sanitation department staffing. We were saddened by the sudden loss of Bob Beaker. Bob was a full-time site attendant at Jasper and has worked for the county since October of 2008. He was a real pleasure to be around and will be missed by a lot of the people who came in to visit the site. Bob always had a smile on his face. He was kept the place neat. Smile on his face. He was kept the place neat. He was always helpful when our truck drivers would show up. He would help, with lids and stuff like that. Bob was he was a good worker, and he had a lot of friends that come to visit him at the site, and he'll be missed. He'll really be missed. Terry Wiseman of Jasper has accepted the position to take Bob's place at Jasper. That's already happened. I think he had worked this Saturday, so Terry is in place. So we'll be looking to hire another floater to take Bob's position.
Was Terry already a floater?
He's already a floater. Yeah.
So he's just moving into a somewhat permanent position.
Yeah. What we do, I think we've got a list of 5 floaters, and we'll start at the top, seniority wise, and give them the first opportunity. And it was declined by a couple others. Once you move into a spot, that's yours. We don't want people jumping around. If Jasper's open, but I really live in Ferdinand and maybe I'd rather work there. We don't want them moving back and forth. So that's kind of where we are with the 2 floaters that are there. I think there's, they would like to work at someplace else on a full-time basis. So they're just waiting for that to happen. So it came open for Terry and he's taken it. Also, George Opel notified us that he's going to be retiring. He's been with us since December of 2017. George was dependable and did a real fine job for us as well. So we're going to be looking for 2 people to hire as a floater for this department. Next item, highway department staffing. Former District 3 foreman Clint Buttery has made a career change and transferred to the solid waste staff under Carla, and we wish him well. He's been replaced by our new foreman Terry Hope. Terry's been with us since May of 1999. His experience and familiarity with many residents in this area make him the best qualified person for this job. Also learned that Stan Welp, a driver and mower, 2 people to fill these vacancies One person we're looking to hire is going to be an experienced excavator operator for District 3 and a truck driver for District 2. So I think Stan he was a mower operator. I got notice from one of our guys that they would like to move into that position, so he's being trained on it as we speak. So the weeds now with all this rain and everything, that's gonna continue to grow, so we're gonna try to keep that hammered down as best we can. So
Where's that mower operator, is he going, is that what he does all summer? Is it a single person or is it two?
single. We've got 4 mowers. One of them stays around in the higher traffic areas like around Jasper and Huntingburg. Because we've gotten many calls for, so we're trying to do a better job there with an additional mower. And I feel that with one of my mechanics when they're not busy. Obviously it's a smaller area because there's going to be times where that mechanic has to be working on equipment. So when he makes his route, it's probably maybe 2.5 weeks, where, our other guys, when they mow their area, it's, we can get 3 rounds in a year. Okay. So that's how that's set up to go. So we do have somebody going to take that job in District 2. And then the final thing, I've attached it to the back of the report. That is our chip seal schedule for this summer. You'll see starting in June, I think I've highlighted what we've completed. We started on Tuesday. We started on County Road 175 east, north of Jasper Dubois Road, and paved it all the way to 300 north. And then we did that little hill on 200 north that goes back to the Warners. That's a dead end road going back there. But that was that had a paved surface going to the top of the hill, so traffic didn't slide through. It's paved. So and basically we got that done. We've been rained out a few times, so. We'll see how things go. We're not working today. We'll see how things go with tomorrow. But as of now, we're a couple days behind. So with each meeting, I'll give you an update as to where we are and how many days ahead or behind we get based on weather and breakdowns. So
Where's Old Pete Road?
Old Petersburg is off of State Road 56. It goes north and back past the Eck properties.
Boom.
Takes you into Otwell, right? Yeah.
I assume that would have been the closest one to Petersburg.
Yeah. It is Old Petersburg. I just had to.
I don't remember seeing Old Petersburg Road. I don't know why that did.
Is that the little shortcut? Takes you right in on the turn.
Oh, that one is okay.
Yeah. You got behind a slow truck with some equipment or something that's
It's
shoot
got
off that way.
got the bad turn on it that constantly people having accidents on that turn. I don't know what we can do about it. I don't know if there is anything.
Yeah, I don't know that
We've
there
talked
is.
about it many times.
Yeah, it's commonly known by people in that area as the Pike County bypass. So it's used quite a bit. It's used quite a bit. So. Yeah, and I think we are going to be planning a bridge replacement on that.
Already ringing, it's just started this week.
Yeah. Brad will talk more about that, but that's in preparation for this. So outside of that, that's all I've got. Are there any questions?
None for me.
Thanks, Steve.
No, thank you. I guess that's a thought. I was trying to think of where I was coming from. I was in another county, I think I was in Crawford County, and they do a lot of, I don't know what they call it, where they cut out a section. It's maybe 25 yards by less than half of the road. I guess probably where on the fog line side of the road. It seemed like they were doing that every, I don't know, half a mile or quarter of a mile. They had one of those. is that, why, I don't know, we don't do much of that, do we?
We do, those are a lot of areas where you see when we're doing our patching, those are places where it maybe got soft and it did a little rut through there. What they're doing is going through there and they're digging them back up. And I don't know if they're putting blacktop back in or what they're doing. What we will do is dig those out, bring it back up, and if it's on a blacktop road.
Generally, it'd probably be a base issue because the road would get wavy or anything, so you cut that section out and try to fill it.
Pretty much what that is.
This just seemed like a really old road, and you would think over a lot of years, you would build up a strong base, but maybe not.
Yeah, a lot of times, a lot of it, you know, that comes with drainage, you know, and
The water doesn't get away, but it's straight, and it's just bad.
Yeah, they didn't seem like they had appropriate. Anyway, that's just a side note, I just noticed that yesterday. Thank you.
Okay. First thing is the 11/17 I just gave you for Dubois order property transfer. They're asking for a transfer of property. That would be an exception to our ordinance. The idea was presented to you guys back at the April. I don't remember that at all or not. It took me a minute to go back and find it and get myself caught up on it. But what they have is what we discussed in the meeting. So I do recommend it for approval. So in order for Chris to properly transfer, I can give your guys' formal approval to do that.
I didn't have a problem with it. I don't think anything's changed.
Okay.
Anybody else?
No.
No, looks good.
Okay. I move that we approve the survey and transfer as presented.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next three things are mainly just updates. So Steve and I, it's been a while back, we decided we're gonna update all of our county road sections. And that's what you guys use, keep track of all our roads, what roads are working on. This was done back, man, it was this early 90s when Dad and Wanda did this. So it's needed an upgrade. So we went through and updated it. And Alex, my intern, she's been working on this pretty well her full-time stuff right now. And we're about got it done. So we've eliminated approximately 120 road sections. Because, chip and seal, we did a little bit of chip seal then. We just keep working away. Well, that ended up being 3 sections and not one road. So now we just got 1 section. Because there's no reason to have 3 different sections on the road that's 3 miles long. So we combined them. So just, like I said, an update. We're trying to catch up with the times. So it's a nice little project to work on, especially for the intern.
So it's just something that says what surface type is where?
Yeah. And if you have traffic count data or right-of-way data, it all associates with that road section. So, which is nice. So keeps us
Do you
organized.
think it's in such a form that a new person coming in would be able to understand it?
That's
or
my-
is it something
that's my
the
goal. Yeah, that's my goal. So hopefully don't plan on replacing me, but.
No.
Generally, you'll use major roads or township lines,
Mhm.
things
Yep.
like that. If it's
They
starting
they
at
split at state roads, they split at townships, and then they split at major intersections. So that's what's going on there. Like I said, it's just an update. Paving, we'll let it 10 a.m. 5 projects. I do ask that if I can get everything organized, if everything looks good, to get it approved at the meeting today, so I can get that moving, especially considering one of them's like community crossings. A lot of paperwork involved, and if I can, the sooner I can get that done, the better. So I'll try to get all my data input and make sure all the math works out. And if it's good, I'd like to get it approved at today's meeting yet. If it doesn't work, that's fine, I understand. And then also, one of the last things is County Road 1050 East. TransCanada has their big pipelines running through there. Well, they're giving us, they want to protect those things a little better than what they are currently. They presented me with a concept. I did not like, I like the concept, hated the design. They only had 3 36-inch pipes laying next to each other to handle the flow of a ditch. Should be about a 10-foot by 4-foot tall area. So I turned it down. So this is just an update that hopefully they'll come back and get something, but it's going to be a substantial project. So in case you hear of anything going on, I am aware of it and we're trying to work through it. So what they have presented is not approved and it will not happen. They have to do some major upgrading. So
That's it, just that way you guys don't get blindsided by somebody asking what's going on or anything.
What portion of 1050?
Just south of Cusco Road North,
Okay.
where Cusco Road North makes the bend and heads north,
Mhm.
that road shoots straight south, it's right there.
And why are they needing something changed?
Well, the gas lines are all exposed in the ditch, and they obviously need to be protected because what's going through there. So we're trying to find a way to protect them, and it's due to the amount of water, the lack of cover they can put on them. They can't just put some more riprap over the top of it and hope it goes, because that riprap's going to end up, because it's the headwater that catches that, and it's pretty wicked when it comes through there. So they need to put something in, and their goal was to put 3 36-inch pipes laying next to each other to handle all the water. Well, the amount of water that comes through there and the amount of debris it brings with it, one tree blocks 2 of those pipes. We're gonna have a washed out road, washed out field, maybe more exposed pipeline. I said, it can't handle that water. So they're, based on just looking at, if you're looking from a bird's eye view, yeah, it would probably work, but actually knowing what's going on. So the designer was from Texas, so he doesn't really know what's going on there. So I
And
just
that stood at the road.
yes. So I had to kind of show him what was going on, explain.
What was the reason for 3 pipes instead of a single large pipe?
Because it lack of cover. So you got 336 inches, only 36 inches tall. Then you got your cover. So that way you got plenty of cover over the pipe, plenty of cover for the pipes themselves. They can drive over the top of them.
Okay.
The profile looks good, but it doesn't work for the flow.
Is is it Cane Creek or is it up,
Just to the north of King
to
Creek.
the north?
It's one of the tributaries.
Road.
Yeah, one of the tributaries that lead to King
Yeah.
Creek.
Tributary there, yeah. Okay. Got it.
Runs north-south, so. Like I said, that's just an info, that's all it is. And then we are closing Old Petersburg Road, hopefully this week, pouring rain. And it never fails that once we get ready to start a pipe or a bridge work, it rains, so. So that's all I've got. You guys got anything for me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, the 8:30 reclassified positions, agenda item with Judge McConnell. He's requested to be removed from the agenda. I'm unsure why, but that opens up something for our agenda.
Yes.
Let's see here.
She's getting the data to age. That's not this an hour. Oh, 2 years ago with that. Yeah. So we had to go back now on Friday to do it again. Thursday. Yeah. He's made no adjustments at all. So. I got it all documented. I tried. I told him with the self-census. I told him to Stevie Straw. We're working on it. Nothing's happened, so.
Mr. Schneer, so it looks like later on in the agenda, we have a discussion on the restricted addresses and the codification ordinance, but the local disaster emergency declaration isn't listed anywhere else. Is that something, if there's any reason we can't do that?
Nope,
Discuss
you're
that.
welcome to take that up. I think I kind of sent an email out last week, maybe, I don't know, it's hard to keep track anymore. But the governor had extended the statewide emergency declaration until the end of the month of June. So like we've done for the past decade.
15 months.
Yeah, we've updated ours as well, so.
So I'll bring this up for discussion. There's a copy and another copy. Same as one as we've been signing, if you want to do, is this one that is this something we want to continue to do? It is set.
This one is, I guess I'll point out, is a little unique from the last ones. The email that I had gotten kind of led me to believe that maybe this declaration will come to us in by the end of this month. So instead of mirroring it with our next meeting date, I did choose the end of the month as a.
July 1?
Yeah.
I suppose my first inclination is to say that there's no need to sign it. My second one is, what does it hurt to sign it?
I'm right there with you.
What does it do or what does it not do?
I think at this point, we're signing it because if it leaves us open for any kind of additional grant money or anything like that, that's why we would go ahead and extend it. Do I think it needs to be extended? No, not really. But I'd hate to have us not be eligible for some of that
I would think if Tammy was sitting here, she would say, we need to sign
I
it.
need to sign
I
it.
agree.
We can give it here.
She would say that.
So, Commissioner Brown's thoughts?
No, I agree, I agree that, you know, we wanna make sure that it's in place if we need it. I don't know, either why, you know, what the difference would make, you know, actual difference it would make if we signed it or didn't, you know, in the actual operations, the county business and so forth, but there is that possibility that something is there and it doesn't hurt to sign it. I guess I question the timing of the end of the month and assuming it goes away, assuming the state one goes away, you know, that works. And if it doesn't, do we have to come back and address it midstream, or do we just let it go and maybe there's a week in there where we don't have it in place? I'm
open to anything, again.
just trying to create
So the meeting is the
Scenario.
5th, right? Is that when,
a,
or
yeah,
is that what it was?
No,
The
the
6th. The 6th, or whatever what day it was, that's the one you're not.
yes, the 5th is a holiday, yes, the 6th, I'm not gonna be here.
Yes, 6th. So, I'm fine with signing it as is, and, this probably being the last one I would support signing myself.
Okay.
I mean, barring information I don't know today.
If something came up, and I guess on the 6th, you'd say,
Okay, so anybody want to make a motion on this one?
oh, that's the one we said. All right.
For the record, did you get something?
No, finish that.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we sign the extension of the emergency declaration until, any other discussion?
Who's the one that you placed down? No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Sandy, do we need all 4 signed or just
Yes.
3? Okay, we got one more then, Jill.
Everybody needs them.
That may be reason enough, just saying he has to deal with it, that we don't, that we do away with it.
I kind of used to copy and pasting this one.
So, one issue I'm gonna bring up later, I'm gonna meet with, the ambulance director, Ryan Young, later this week. Are there any issues anyone with our board would like me to bring up to them? My main point of just getting with him is to talk about their budget. This is his first time doing a budget for them. And I just want to work a little more closely with him than I guess we have. So I'm gonna do that. Continuing on the line with budgets, Brooke sent us the information for budgets. I guess we'll have to put ours together. I don't know, I don't remember how we've done that in the past. We don't change a whole lot of things.
Now, next meeting, you've got several people coming for you to approve their budgets, but that's not yours. The first meeting in July, I'll have some of the people that go into your budget here as well, so.
So we don't need to take action until we take action on all these other, like the
So
right
we'll have the
solutions
next
and the-
meeting and the July 6th meeting, we'll have some people coming, so we can't compile yours until that time. Yours is usually the last one we get finished.
So ours will be following that, won't
Yes,
be the July 6th meeting.
we'll work on yours in July.
the.
Now,
this is-
what Brooke sent us was not the budget, or it was not last year's budget. She sent some worksheets, is that correct?
It's stuff for this year's.
Yeah.
All the department heads.
She didn't just send it to us, she sent it to all the
All
department heads.
Right, it's the blank forms
Yeah.
that we input the information.
I looked for the budget anyway, and I didn't think that was included in it.
They're blank.
Scott Hove mentioned something about the, doing some painting at the courthouse on the clock tower. And my guidance to him was to, put it in ask for it out of King Cap instead of putting it in our budget for next year. I don't know if anybody had a problem with that or if there was an issue with that. That's the normal order of business. That sound like you agree? Okay. So I just want to leave that up, that there's some work that needs to be done there. He's accepting some quotes on doing that. I think it's a $20,000 to $30,000 job. We had a request from our HR director. We have to make our decisions publicly here. We have a system in place whereas employees or department heads can request changes to their salary structure based on information that they feel like presenting to us. And he sent that to us. Has everyone had a chance to look at that?
I did.
And he's made a request to put him midway through the range of his pay scale for his job. Right now, he's within 50 cents of the low part, or within a quarter of the very lowest of that job range, I believe. My thought every time I read one of these is to always like try to negotiate a better deal for the county to try to keep the pay down. I guess that's just me. I guess try to look out for the budget. In this case, after reviewing the information he's had, after looking at the job he's done for the time frame that he's been here, I appreciate the work he does. It would be hard to replace him, I think, at the current salary. He went through a pretty strenuous interview process with multiple phases. I would be satisfied. I haven't found a reason to not grant the request as he's made it. That's where I stand on it. So I'd like to hear what your thoughts are.
No, I would agree. We had no HR. He got us set up. I think the way he got us set up, we saved a lot of money in those first couple of years. He probably did a lot more work than what he got paid for, and I think mid-range salary sounds perfectly justified.
Yeah, and I agree as well. And I think when we went through the hiring process, we knew that he was taking a tremendous pay cut to come to the county. And I think the implication was there, if not an outright statement, that, this is where we're going to go now, but if things work out, we will do everything we can to get you in a better place. And in fact, before he made the request, I was working on trying to come up with an idea of where he's at and where he should be and that sort of thing. And was doing some research in Gateway to find out what other HR people in the state of Indiana are paid, and he was doing the same thing, unbeknownst to me. It's difficult to pin it down if you look at the whole state. I mean, there are HR positions that are the salary ranges from 35,000 to 90,000 maybe, or something like that, depending upon where you're going. And I'm sure it depends upon the qualifications, which, the guy has a master's degree in HR. So certainly he has the qualifications and the skills, and some of them may simply be a title that was put on somebody that was already doing the work or something like that. So it's hard to tell in Gateway. The references that he made are accurate. So I think he points that out, that people in his position.
It's for people to go over and above. I think over the last 2 years, he could have gotten by on his job doing considerably less than he had. Things that stand out to me are the newsletter, taking control of old documents.
It's been tremendous help on the wellness committee. I believe our wellness, since he's come here, has changed tremendously.
And he could have got by without doing all of that stuff. So this is an example of somebody that not just did the bare minimum. I would have been satisfied with his job had he done less. I mean, he would have been still doing a good job for the county. So I think.
And I've had multiple department heads express their gratitude, good word, yes, for him and the position that we've created there. I think they feel like he is tremendous support for things. When an issue comes up and they're not, an HR issue comes up and they're not really comfortable with dealing with it, he's able to step in and guide them along the way. And I think they really appreciate that.
I know I was intimately involved in a couple important positions that there were issues with an employee. So, I guess it will be our action then, unless someone wants to state differently. I can fill out the form, our section of the form, and I think that gets turned back to him and to the county council to make a determination.
Mhm.
So the thought would be approve the rate of pay that he mentions, and that be it. He doesn't get and I think he even mentions this in his write-up, that it's not that amount and whatever the council
Right.
grants, it's
Right.
this amount.
Right.
So anybody opposed to doing that?
And I might point out too that I did have a conversation with at least one of the council members who felt the same way we did about it. I don't know how the entire council feels, but we'll find out.
Okay. We have a couple minutes. Does anybody need the restroom or just move forward?
Go ahead for a little bit. Yeah.
All right, we will move forward. We have a Judy Brown and Brenda Sermon here to discuss a position status change in their 2022 budget. You're welcome to come up, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Judy. Morning, Brenda.
Hi. I emailed this to you. I wasn't sure if you had a chance to look at it.
Yes.
Okay.
Nothing's changed from when you emailed, has it?
No. And, I've been working with Marky on this request, and by the way, I want to add my support of Marky to the other department heads list of support. He has been a great help to us as well, so we really appreciate having him involved. What we are requesting is to change, actually not to change, but to combine two positions to make a full-time position. Last year at this time, we requested additional funding to one of our part-time positions because we have additional technical help or needed additional technical help with the workload, and we haven't been able to fill the position. So ultimately, at the end of the year, that money's just been rolled back. We've advertised it twice, have not been able to find a qualified person interested in working at the salary that's offered. So what we are requesting is to eliminate two part-time positions and then create a new PAC 3 resource specialist position. We have a project manager, Melissa Rishaw, that's on board. She manages our land stewardship initiative project. She, over the last couple of years, has become very skilled in working with landowners and explaining conservation practices and the benefits of them. So we feel like she would be great in a full-time position, and she could help us with this extra workload. So essentially what we're asking is to eliminate our two part-time positions and then use that funding to create a full-time position.
So you'd eliminate Melissa's current job, eliminate the one that never was filled.
Right. Yeah, after Radius Wiseman passed away, Bart Pitstick is working limited hours in that position, but we had hoped to have somebody in 3 days a week, and we have, again, not been able to fill that position, so that position is essentially vacant. So eliminate those two part-time positions and then use new full-time position for Melissa.
So initially, had you filled this position with a qualified candidate and kept Melissa in her current capacity, you're stating that you believe the budget for that position for 2022 would be around $34,000, $34,146 for both of them.
Yes.
You're requesting $37,783 for Melissa alone. That's where you're talking about the replacement,
Yes,
but in addition to that would be benefits.
correct, yes. And I realize that's probably another 10,000. I don't know what gets paid on the back.
More than that.
Okay, yeah, I don't know that number.
Okay. So you mentioned that the workload has expanded. What has changed over the last 2 years that makes the workload expand?
Well, we've had a lot of transitions happening in the office. Our district conservationist, who is a federal employee, Bart Pistick was in that role for many years. He retired, so we went a couple of years with just temporary district conservationists. So our staff, the county staff, stepped in because we have a lot of county landowners who were relying on our office to get this work done. So our current resource specialist stepped up and stepped in that role and helped all the county landowners. But hopefully next week we'll have a new person that will stay in the office on the federal level. But we also have an agreement with the federal government that we will do reviews in the county on landowners' properties of the practices, the farm bill practices. And we have signed an agreement with them that we'll review all these practices on the ground. And so that's where the additional workload came in. So Justin Berry has been doing that, but it's more than one person can handle.
It's always, even with the two part-time, it's always been a challenge to be able to meet. This continues to expand, so.
So is this a position, how many hours a week is this?
The new one,
Yes.
it would be 35 hours.
I guess I'll get a little bit of a lower number. If I take $20.16 times the number of weeks and the number of hours, I'm getting about $1,000 less than that.
Okay, I may have made it,
Let's see, 2016, that's the request,
yes.
35.
I don't know if it matters, I did 70 times 26. We do 70 hours for a bi-weekly payroll times 26 weeks.
Should be the same number.
Yeah, it should be, but I'm not a math person, so I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so I think that's about $1,000 too high.
Oh, okay,
I mean, if that's the rate of pay that you're
yes.
wanting on that one.
Yeah, I'll have to double check whatever the,
Council will check all that too.
yeah.
Can you tell me, so Melissa would take care of the VUJ Land Stewardship Initiative for 60% of her work week. Can you tell me a little more about what that is again? So I can be correct on that.
The Land Stewardship Initiative is a project that we work on in conjunction with VUJC. They have 40 acres of cropland, and so the SWCD manages that cropland. We use conservation practices, and we are working to build up the health of the soil. And then we use that as demonstration. We do field days, and high school FFA students come out and utilize the property. So it provides an opportunity to do education about soil health and the benefits of using conservation practices. But through the course of doing these demos, Melissa has gotten really good with doing soil health testing. And then she also works with other landowners in the county already and does soil testing on their property and then does some outreach. And so if she's in this new position, she'll also be able to actually inspect the practice to make sure the things that they are using is done in accordance with the USDA regulations.
And it's her, there's a number of farmers, but she do that, reach out to them, or does it come from the landowner or from the citizen into you?
We do public outreach, so the practices through the farm bill are purely voluntary. So the field days, we do news articles, we do outreach. If the landowner is interested, they'll come to the office and actually apply. So I know that Justin has been working on, he said there's 143 practices that he has to inspect this year that are on the ground now, and there's going to be more before the end of the year that he'll have to do. And that's just a large workload for him to go out and meet with the farmers and inspect all those practices.
Is data kept on how many people she has, how many farmers she has had touch with over the last, I know she's been part-time, but what that looks like?
We would have people that have come to workshops, and she probably has, we've tracked, who she's been, what property she's been on and things she's doing.
I mean, I see the photos of whenever there's educational things, and there's
Mm-hmm.
a line of people being
Mhm.
educated, I guess. But I didn't know on top of that, how many individual visits there would be, or how many.
There's outreach as well via the electronics. And so I'm sure probably we could go back and look at the hits that gives as well. So I don't have that number off the top of my head, but we do utilize computer technology, obviously, with Facebook and such to get the word out. So
Yeah,
I guess with soil health, I'm thinking if I'm a citizen and I live in the county and I will call out and I say, can you come check my soil? I mean, does she do that, or is it a thing where?
kit that we've recently gotten, so she can go. She's testing for how well the water action.
Soil density and issues like that,
Exactly.
not that there's too much nitrogen.
Right,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, we have other businesses that test that type of thing. She can do spot checks.
Does Purdue do that?
Soil's checked, Purdue has soil, bags that they can collect on soil and send it in.
But from a farmer perspective, I don't believe Purdue does it anymore.
No,
They used to, yeah, they used to years ago, they don't, for farmers. Purdue doesn't offer that.
Commissioner Hostad?
I'm not opposed to this. I think it helps them better run their department. I feel your pain as far as trying to hire people, and salaries have gone up quite a bit in the last year or so. Yeah, I think I can support this.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do too. Actually, attended a meeting along with about 3 council members and Markey, and we went over this request and evaluated as much as we could about it. And it was the recommendation of those people in that committee, including Markey, the HR director, that we do this. The difficulty you've had in filling this position, and although we never create a position based on an individual, I understand that this is one that you want to get into this. You're really what's going on with this
Yeah,
We do
individual,
not want to lose.
and this
one.
person will bring value to the county beyond what we're asking here. Of course, that can change with a different individual, but so that's a little bit of a factor here. The number, Chad, that you were coming up with, I think this 37,783 includes a 3% increase.
Okay.
So the 20 or 2076,
But it does say 2020 salary,
Yeah, I think I didn't.
2022
or
salary.
2022, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I think I did miss that
And
increase.
the minimum of this range is going from 2016 to 2076, assuming the council goes ahead with their 3% salary increase. That's where the difference
Okay,
is at.
thank you, yeah, I, 2021 number.
And, yeah, so your intent is to start them at the very bottom of the range.
Yes.
So I suppose from the limited amount I know, I guess I'm not as for it as the two of you are. Again, I always am cautious moving forward where we're adding $20,000 to the, or so additional dollars to the budget, because it's not just 20,000 one time, it's $20,000 forever. And you can't do that too often without upsetting your budget. And if we look at every priority the county has, is this $20,000 a year a priority that oversteps all of those? Every time we put additional people on healthcare, that's just expensive. I mean, it's very expensive for the taxpayer because we charge so little to the employees. So my thought coming into it today was not to take action today, to at least hold on to it for 2 weeks to see if any other information comes to us, or to me to see if there's any other additional information, because I guess I'm not completely sold on it. We took a part-time secretarial position not too long ago, a couple of years ago, to full-time to do some of the stuff that you were saying, because at that time you said the workload has increased. If we hire this person, it will leave other people more time to do their regular job.
But at that point, we had Radius Wiseman, and we also had Bart who's sick. We no longer have Radius, he has passed. And Bart actually, very limited now, and he's actually gonna be moving out of the area.
And
So,
But the federally funded district conservation person should be doing some of the work that you said was part of the reason for your increase
right,
in work.
right,
I mean, unless the person fails or they're weak or they don't last.
right. But we work closely with them, so yeah, we will continue to work with them on those. But yes, they will be taking the lead on those. The position you referred to was an administrative assistant, so she helps with the office paperwork and some of the behind the scenes things that she assists me, where this is more technical, this is the field work. So it's different roles in the department.
and
I think
different,
at
and
the time
different
when it was
skill
a part,
sets.
when it was a part-time person though, you said that the people that were in the field were having to do more of that back office stuff, so that would have opened up more time.
Right.
So that was created, and then the part-time was created, and I understand you can't fill that position, or you haven't been able to at the 2 times you've done it. Would we be better off adding $3 an hour to that position? Would that bring somebody in?
I do not feel it would, it's my opinion. Not for the caliber, quality, and the expertise we need, and the knowledge.
So from where I sit, I'm wanting to sit on it for 2 weeks. If you guys want to move forward with it, that'll be up to you. There's 3 of us up here, so
Well, I'm prepared to move forward. Like I said, I had a meeting with the council members and HR, and we discussed it quite extensively. I think I don't think sitting on it for a couple of weeks will change my position on it. But if that's what we need to do, I guess we can. We're looking at a 2022
Yes,
position.
yes, yes.
So you need to get it in the budget and all of that sort of thing. So we can't wait till November, December.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's gotta be this coming up here, but maybe a couple of weeks is workable, I don't know. But like I said, I don't think that will change my position on it. And as far as I think you're right, Chad, that we need to be responsible for the budget, good stewards of the county money. However, we also need to look at what is the best way to spend that money going forward and get the best benefit for the people. And hopefully, not hopefully, in reality, our budget will continue to rise every year. Hopefully, that's offset by the revenue and increased assessed value and increased income through the county. Now the pandemic has kind of thrown a wrench into some of that, I know. But hopefully those two things balance. And that's kind of a council decision to make sure that is always in balance. I feel like my decision is to determine whether or not this position is needed and whether it's a benefit to the county. And that's where I'm at on it.
I think I agree with Elmer. I would have been prepared to pass it today. I don't mind waiting a couple of weeks. I think it's all on the same page. So, if in 2 weeks you support it, I can't imagine my support's gonna change in that 2 weeks. But
man said, well, yeah, I could really use a new person, take this person from half-time to full-time. That's the kind of thing that I think would happen if
This actually, in just that sense, it is taking 2 positions and putting into 1. So, and we happen to have a qualified person to where we don't have to actually advertise for that full-time position. So we have the positions, it's just putting it into 1 position, not creating necessarily a brand new, separate, distinct position, not
the way
considering
the
where
county
we
has
have
it set
to.
up, for the way we have it set up, it's a new position. We'd be eliminating positions and adding.
Yeah, I understand in that sense, but when you're looking at, we're not coming in and saying, hey, we want to have this whole totally new person coming in the sense that we didn't have these other two part-time positions, if that makes sense. And I get what you're saying, I understand that, technology or that wording. But again, I'm coming back to the standpoint that we've got these two, we just need to get it into one to be able to have this quality person in that position.
And the quality of the individual makes a huge difference in some of these jobs. I'm in the restaurant business, and it's, I can hire 3 people to do one job, and I can have one quality person come in and do the job of those 3 people. And I think they've got that person, and they're trying to figure out how to make it all work together. And so I support this. I also support, I think waiting 2 weeks isn't going to hurt anything. So hopefully in that time you can learn a little more about the position, and maybe it'll change your mind. And if not, just come back in 2 weeks.
That'll be fun. Yeah, if you guys are okay with that, that way too, I can hear from the council members. I can reach out to them if I want and see what their thoughts are on it.
And you're right, I mean, any action that we take could create a ripple effect with other departments, but then we evaluate those requests. And,
Because in the abstract, I want them to have 2 more people, and I want the health department to have 3 more people and more cops on the street. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just as in the abstract, I want all of those things, because I agree with those. But if you're both, if neither of you will take action today, then we can put it on the agenda for 2 weeks, and
She is on the agenda for the next one to present the entire budget, so should she have one prepared both ways, or?
I'm prepared to support it. I think I'm
Yeah,
prepared to support it. I would prepare your budget in
Okay.
such a way that.
and I would be prepared to go ahead and make a motion to do that today, if that helps prepare that budget.
floor is yours.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we accept this, that we create this, we eliminate the 2 part-time positions and create the full-time position as proposed.
And I support that, but I want to give Chad time to do his homework. I'd really like all 3 of us to be on board with this.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second? There's no second. The motion dies for lack of a second. Is there any other motions to be made? There's not. So we will see you in 2 weeks, and probably wouldn't be too tough to make it. I mean, you'd have 2 budgets with 1 line item differently, so.
I can do that.
Okay, thanks, Judy.
All right.
Thanks, Brendan.
Thanks.
Can do it.
Thank you for giving me the time. I appreciate that. And next up, we have Bob William with the Strassenfest Courthouse use.
Thank you.
I'm here to make the annual appeal for permission to use courthouse properties.
Anything change on this?
Not that I'm aware of,
Other than the dates?
other than the dates.
Lower level restrooms. You'll hire Scott and pay him. Hanging banners and pennants. Wreaths and garland. What is the information booth? Does that go on the, I thought that went on the south side of the building.
On the south side by the post office boxes.
Okay.
It's there every year, right?
Yes.
I was just making sure you weren't putting it at the parking
No,
spots
no,
there.
no.
It says southwest, so I thought maybe you meant over there.
Kind of what it implies, that the paved area of the southwest corner. of the
Because it's not paved next to.
Sort of, yeah, I guess it does, so it would be the immediate south.
Okay.
So I'll take the west off of that.
I got it.
I might appeal for next year.
And maybe partially paved, because I don't think the whole thing's paved there, is it?
I think
No,
where they said the booth is.
well, there might be a sidewalk.
Yeah,
Does the sidewalk come out there? Is that the paved part you're
Yes.
talking about maybe?
yes.
Permission to install a temporary telephone pole, temporary utility pole, temporary sound booth. temporary signage.
Number eight, is west side correct there? North side, should be the north side.
No, the
Now,
MC for the parade sits on the porch on the west side.
inside of Sandy's
Outside,
office.
yeah.
Where Bobby Kennedy gave his number.
Does the parade go by it?
Runs
Yes.
Doesn't it come up here and?
No, it goes up and around.
Oh, it goes all the way around. the
Goes over to
square, yeah.
Beckman's.
I'm sorry.
Goes
They
around.
use the.
Goes around
portable
backwards.
For a lot of
For whatever reason, I knew we came up
Yes.
Sixth here and up
Yeah,
opposite way.
It
Right.
goes, no, it goes all, yeah, it goes all the way around.
We need to give permission to flow
It
against.
is the wrong way on a one-way street.
Mr. Blingell, we have an agreement that we need to sign if you're approved, so there's that, please. Does anybody have any problems with this?
We will also need proof of your insurance.
Okay, I'll have to let Annette know that, because I asked her, I just sent her an email a couple days ago, I wanted to know if I needed to bring that, and she said that should have already been forwarded to me. So,
Okay.
I will check with her again today.
We may have it, I just wanna make sure it's.
Right.
on file.
Right.
I move that we approve the request of the Jasper Strassen Fest Committee for their use of various parts of the downtown square.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Right,
Aye. Motion carries. So you're approved based on providing us proof of insurance and
Okay.
using the south end of the courthouse for your structure. Anything else you need from us, Mr. Blingell?
Not at this time.
Well, thank you for your work on this. Were you the chairman last year?
No,
No.
Tim Lotus was,
You did a good job. Running.
I will be,
pressure, is that pressure you're putting on?
We expect as few problems as last year.
I just hope we can handle the crowds.
Definitely.
Because I think we're gonna be busy this year.
People are ready to get out.
They're ready to do something different.
This is that big part.
And as far as, the opposite flow of traffic, that is part of the appeal to
To the
the
city.
Board of Public Works tomorrow,
Okay,
because the entire courthouse square, I think, is
that's
shut
right,
down
it's not our
during the
business.
free hours.
Yeah, it's not our business with it, which
Yeah.
way you go with it.
Yeah, I think it's shut down till
Yeah.
5:30 Sunday evening, and then till all the booths get torn down. So appreciate it.
Hey Bob, those are the same dates as
Nick,
mine,
can I have
right?
your
Same
copy
times.
or?
Same
Yes,
dates.
August 5th to the 8th, to be the Strassen Fest opening ceremony on the 5th.
Yes,
And then you have.
because on here, I put that, he signed it, I put C attached, so that this is his request, it's going with the agreement.
Okay. Anything else?
You want to witness it?
Okay, let me know if anything comes up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How about rest of your town, anybody? We good?
Yes, let me do that.
Good.
I'm gonna wait about 10 more minutes.
And then you'll. 5 minutes. It's already at 10 minutes.
So motion died, but I can say that we're gonna revisit in 2 weeks.
I just put, yes.
Put my screen right on the right now. Thank you.
Scary that I think on you.
It's not the 18th, I know that. It's not the 18th.
No, it's not. Yes, sir. Maybe you're right. Till July 1st. What's it, I mean, it's in effect until July 1. Okay? Okay, bye.
It's really quiet in here today.
Andy's here, and we don't want anything recorded.
No, Candy's always watching on YouTube too.
I'm trying not to get on that.
Becky? Becky Guthrie with Bright Solutions with her 2022 budget request.
Yes, thank you for having me. Just want to reaffirm everything that we are still doing. We did not stop doing anything through the whole year last year. I think people people stay home, but for essential services, the people that don't have any transportation at all had to keep using Right Solution because they still had to have groceries. They still went to the doctor. I mean, we had a couple drivers that kind of certainly cut back because of concerns with family. They didn't want to be there, but most of them just ended up. We wore their masks. We put plastic shields in behind the drivers. We took all kinds of precautions to make sure that our passengers were safe and our drivers were safe. We did not have any drivers at all get the COVID. So we felt very fortunate that worked out the way it did. Of course, our rights are down, but they still were pretty strong here in Dubois County like they always are. We still continue to bring a lot of people into Dubois County from the surrounding counties because of the services that you offer here that we don't have in the other counties. Head Start, they continue to use us every day when they're in session. So it's very important that the kids get to school. And a lot of the kids that go to Head Start, the parents don't have transportation to get there and back. So we want to thank you. We want to ask for the same amount, unless you have CARES Acts that you need to get rid of, and then you can throw some our way, because that's being what we do. We are certainly eligible for them. So we will be helping out with Strassenfest. We do that every year. We always ask to do a shuttle service for each day of the Strassenfest from parking lots to back and forth. Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday all day. That's what we do. We do 2 evenings and then all day on Saturday do the shuttle service to help out with transportation that way. And people like that. They like being able to hop on something and get it, the ones that can't park close. So that's something we always do.
For curiosity's sake, what is, out of 30,000 trip, how many are unique people? What I mean by the question is there
How
going to
many
be
people?
some, is there some guy that uses
We have
it 5
lots.
times a day
We have,
or 5 times a week?
yes, with employment.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have a lot of repeat people. So, but we count the trips because that's what INDOT requires us to do that. But of course, dialysis is 3 times a week. A lot of people, that's what their schedule is. The employment, daycare, Head Start, the same way. They go there, they come back. So we have lots and lots of people. Then of course we have people that just come to town. We have visitors that come to town, they might be in the motels and they expect a taxi service or something like that. So they call us for, a lot of times it's just a day, that they use us. We've been asked to take people on, a couple people just around the town, just to view your town. We take people from the nursing homes back and forth, people to visit people that they have somebody in a nursing home. Now, last year, of course, that kind of closed everything down on the nursing homes, but they still had to go different places. So, yes, there's lots and lots of repeat. And a lot of people use this just to get a job until they can get on their feet and get a car or get their car running again because their cars broke down. So there's just all kinds of things. But like I said, there is a lot of repeat, yes.
These 30,000, those are individuals, I assume.
They're not, well, I mean,
They're not trips, are they?
they are trips.
They are
Yeah,
trips.
they are
So
trips.
do you do very much ride sharing?
Oh, yeah,
Mobile.
anytime we can, if we can get people piggyback.
Mhm.
People are kind of paranoid about that. They were, they say, well, I don't want to ride with somebody else. Or if we're going out of the immediate town and we're going back to we do a lot of trips down the south part of the county, but we have to tell them, we have a driver. If you want to go, all we can do to do that, to make sure that, we can piggyback rides.
So do you have an idea how many individuals?
No, I couldn't tell you that right now. But see, so many of the people, like I said too, come in from Martin County. A lot of people, we have drivers coming in. We have people coming in from Spencer County up here. We have people from Pike and Davies County actually coming here. So those a lot of times are sporadic because they're coming to medical appointments. But a lot of people want us from outlying counties, bring us every day to work down here, but we don't have enough staff. We don't have enough, and even some of the companies have called us wanting us to start routes where we pick up, but they work overtime a lot of times. Then we can't get them home, and we've had a lot of meetings with HR staffs trying to figure out how we can help them, but they're bringing people in from down by Louisville. I mean, they're literally bringing people in from a long way, and that's just not something that we cannot possibly do. We just have to concentrate mostly on just the local people.
Have any idea how many people you take out or how many trips you make out of the
Oh, not very many.
county?
Not very many.
Most of them are coming in.
Yeah, most of them are coming. We take a few people down to Evansville. Excuse me. For special things only. I mean, Evansville is not someplace we go on a regular basis, but if someone calls us and they basically have no other way to get to Evansville for a specialty thing, we will arrange that. Sometimes if somebody needs to get to the airport, we'll arrange it. We have to charge more because we're going out of the county, and we had somebody from Ireland this year, not this year, but the year before. Their grandson was getting some specialized counseling, and it was down in the Evansville area, and he literally begged us to get this boy there. And so we did work it out, and we told him we could do it for, I think, 8 weeks is what it was. Now, in the summertime, it slows down because we don't have the school transportation. So I think that was during the summer. So we did arrange that for him, and him and his grandmother was very, very thankful for that. So I said we go out of the way to do things for certain people. I mean, if we can possibly work them in the schedule. So I mean, we're there to help out.
What is the typical fare around the county? Is it by mile?
We lowered the fares during the pandemic, and we haven't raised them back yet. It's $2 in town, $4 in the county. Like if you came from Huntingburg up here, it'd be $4 each way.
One way each way.
Mm-hmm. It's 2, 4, and 6. So county to county is $6. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we did lower the rates $1 each just to help out, and I don't know if we'll raise them back up very soon or not. We'll just have to see how the economy goes. And typically it's the people that don't have, their own limited funds. What we're doing this anyway. So.
And this limited amount that you're requesting for us
It's
large
matched.
part is leverage.
It's matched dollars for the state to show that we have this many drivers. We besides Davies County, we have the most drivers of any of the counties that we serve. We serve 10 counties. And we do, in Warwick County, we have a bus service. I mean, we have a bus that goes around and around and around and then they connect to the Mets. So that's the only other county besides Davis and Dubois. We're the 3 top counties that generate so much of what we need to keep this service going. So, but I mean, we can get, a lot of people will just, Warwick County now is just booming in Newburgh area with the medical facilities. If you've been down there to see them, it's just, they're just building. And since that's one of our counties that we serve, I mean, it's not an extra fee to go there besides your county to county. So we've gotten some people requesting that service also. So it's just a ever evolving thing, and we try. The only problem we need more drivers, and it's the same as everywhere you walk around. You help wanted, you know. But we have a little bit different criteria because you have to pass the CDL physical, and that really limits our people. So,
I'm satisfied to keep it in the budget. So whenever we put our budget together, I don't see any opposition up here. So
It's a great service, and that amount of money leverages additional money from the state or.
And plus, when we get new vehicles, we have to pay 20% match on our vehicles. So as they keep getting more miles on them, that's another thing that dollars help generate. Thank
so
you.
pending council approval,
Okay,
it'll be on there.
I appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Becky. This is our last meeting. I've held the second ARP meeting, the American Rescue Plan meeting with that group of people that decided to join that committee. So we're working through, at our last meeting, Commissioner Promise mentioned having a grant application possibly, so we could formalize, at least in some part, requests from entities that may want that funding. I've tasked 3 of the committee members with that. I provided them with a sample I contacted Warwick County's commissioners. They had something where they gave $5,000 grants last year with CARES money to local nonprofits. And it was a simple form that any nonprofit or any organization could really fill out. It wasn't a 60-page document. It was 3 total pages to it saying what was the requirements were and what they asked. And I provided that to those 3 and they're reviewing it. And at our next meeting, they will come back with some information. I also, Commissioner Hostetter, your comment about, we were talking about internet being a priority for a lot of people, and that's a lot of priority for regional things and for the state and for the federal government. And I mentioned to them as well about your comment that sewer is pretty darn important too, and maybe that should take priority where for the health and safety of the community. And that was well received as well. They understood that. So that is a big priority. So some of the things, like we've had requests from Copen Water, St. Anthony Water, and then the sewer district, of course, which is in consideration for those things. So we continue to work on the internet though to see if there is anything that we can do to improve that to the outlying areas and sewer and just, everything. Everything's so late at this time, but at the end of that last meeting, every person that was on the committee had a job for the next meeting, saying, please come back with this. We've had, I think 2 of the people are contacting a couple different internet providers that we haven't talked to before. We've talked to a couple already to see if there is anything available there that we can help support. And then of course the wastewater and putting the grant documents together. So things are moving well there. I don't know if you have any questions or any comments on that. We're still people, if they make a request, we're just putting it on the list at this point because we don't have a formal process.
No, I appreciate your report. I don't have any questions, anything new from my end.
Okay, and we still have 2 minutes. Met with Director Wilson at 911. He reports that things are going well out there, that he is now training on the console. He started his training with so that he will have the same information and same knowledge as everyone that is under him. So not only will he be the leader, he will also be able to sit in when needed. So he's taking that training. That'll take many months to get him through that part of it. And we had a discussion on moving the 911 facility to the jail building again. So just keeping that conversation going too, in case we want to move them into the Z-Pod. A-Pod is where EMS is going, and or EMA, Tammy. I always get those two, the A and the S when fixed up. Tammy's office, so that would be an A-Pod. B-Pod would be the next one over for 911. And they voiced what concerns they had, what things they would need from a new facility. So that's an ongoing conversation. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Just a couple of informal conversations that I've had with him, he has impressed me as far as his excitement and eagerness and willingness or like I say, excited to accept the challenge that he's got in front of him. He's working hard at it.
And I think that the transition has gone okay. I think the employees are okay. The other leadership out there is okay. Or better than okay, but I'm saying there hasn't been any issues.
Yeah. Nothing I'm aware of, no.
They're right.
Good.
So that is that. And we're back on track, and we have CASA with a request for placement of a donation box in the courthouse foyer, I believe.
Yes. Currently CASA is collecting school supplies for our kiddos for next year. We currently have boxes at the Jasper Library, Redemption Church, and the YM Ferdinand. And I would just like to be able to put one in the courthouse foyer as well. We're only collecting supplies through July 3rd because the CASAs need the opportunity in July to get the supplies to the kiddos at their July visit so that they can be ready when school starts early August.
What is well, first off, I think I will support it. I don't know if there's any other issues with that. Will it be in the area where the flag collection box is? We have a box.
I can put it wherever you want. It's like,
But you're talking about in that breezeway between the first set of doors and the second set of doors, or are you talking about inside of the building?
it really doesn't make any difference to me. Wherever it would work best for whomever decides.
So I would, I guess if we approve this, then I would just ask her to work with Scott Hope on what will be
Sure.
safe flow. So
Okay.
that it's not, how big is it?
It's like this
One of those
big
codes
by
for
that
kids
big.
boxes?
It's what?
Like code?
No, it's, I just bought it at Home Depot. It's like this wide and it's about, or this long, about this wide. So it's not huge.
So a foot and a half away from the wall would, if it was, it's not gonna be a big thing in the way.
No.
So will you be putting a list of stuff that you need, or people just know to bring whatever? Or-
Yeah, there's a list of stuff because the kids in Jasper need some things. The kids in Huntingburg need a lot of things. And then Ferdinand and Dubois don't need anything. A lot of our kids are either in Jasper or Huntingburg. So I have a list, and then I've also put it out on our Facebook page. So there's lists on all four sides of the boxes that I put out. And then on our Facebook page is a link to what we need to, because we don't want to get just a bunch of stuff we don't need. It's our goal as well.
I was gonna ask a similar question, because you don't want 5,000 boxes of crayons and no tissues, or whatever it is, the other thing the kids need, so.
Yeah, and so, and like now they need dry erase markers. I'm old, who knew? They need dry erase markers now, so that's on the list. And like I said, and I've had it on Facebook for a couple days with the other locations, I've just not posted it with the courthouse. Yeah, but I can do that. Like I said, there's a link there. Actually using the county webpage, our page on the county website to have the list for people to go to.
And two, is you get halfway, maybe 2 weeks from now, if you go in and you say, wow, we've got an overabundance of glue sticks, we really need something else, I can put it on our county Facebook page too, or
Oh, that'd be great.
to try to encourage people, or even email our employees. I'm sure that'll be some of the donations that come from employees. So yeah, we can work together on that to make sure we have a successful campaign.
Okay, and then I didn't know, since the box is there, if I should email all the employees just to let them know what it is and it's there or not.
I think that'd be a good idea.
We heard it.
And I'd put your top 2 things that you want them to bring, because
Okay.
I think people like to give, and they want it to be as easy as possible to give what's appropriate. I'll move that we approve this CASA donation box and ask that Dina works with Scott Hope to find appropriate placement within the front foyer area.
I'll second.
Any other discussion on the issue?
No.
Any comments for anybody else? Do you have any? No. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
And, yep, just be in touch.
All right, thanks.
Sandy, would you like to discuss the IT support contract with the health department this time, or is it something we should talk about later? You had mentioned that the funding will have to be different this year.
Oh, I just wanted to make you guys aware that I'll probably have to ask for more money in your budget because he doesn't have it.
So where was that? So,
He had a grant. It went back from Donna's days. He had a grant that supported website. They paid so much towards our website money every year. And they paid so much, I think it was, I forget, 17.5 or something like that he put towards our matrix contract. Well, this year, he doesn't have enough money for that, so he cut that out. And so I wanted to tell you guys, I don't have that there. We're gonna have to put it in your budget, or we won't have it.
so with Matrix, we pay a fee for courthouse annex. We pay a
The
separate,
whole thing.
fee for them? Or
They just paid it
contribute?
they put it towards our bill.
So the bill won't get bigger, we'll just have one less
Well, it
income source.
depends on, you guys cut the services Matrix did last year, but we still put that towards that bill. I just wanted you to
In
be
the
aware
past,
of
it
it.
says the health department contributed 11,250.
That's it. I couldn't remember the number off the top of my head. And they do $500 towards the website.
What's this? We would like to keep 30,000.
That they do vaccines in the edit fund.
That didn't have anything.
That has nothing to do with that. He's just telling me that we need to put that in the budget. They want to continue that request.
They have enough money for the $500 for the website support. But the IT, it says the part-time environmental took the majority.
Yes.
So whatever the option, I guess the council could decide to help everything do that.
Right, but I wanted to tell you guys, we're probably gonna have to increase your lineup, and because we gotta pay for it somehow.
Is that still have anybody have any comments or questions on that? Just that came in, I wanted to at least bring it up.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
just
I
cutting.
understand what you're saying, yeah. They're,
And I told Sean, I said, you're cutting it, what am I supposed to do? I gotta come up with the money somewhere. So,
It'll have to be paid for. Another thing, I'm just trying to go through my miscellaneous things while we have, keep the butt of that agenda full. Child protection team is a board that I'm on, and we have a meeting once a month. It's, we're having it down at the library now. It used to be out at the DCS building. And the way it works is a number of people go in there, people like the sheriff, the prosecutor's office, the judge has a representative, myself,
I'm the judge's
an
representative.
emergency room nurse. Heck, I don't even know where. CASA is there. So there's a number of people represented. And what they do every month, or what it's seeming, this is kind of what we've always done, but seems to have been worse. One of the case managers reads whatever the situation is, that this child was impacted in this way by this perpetrator. Someone called this in and we checked it out, and here's what we've done. This is what the case manager just kind of gives us a rundown. And then they move on to the next one and tell us the same thing. And I feel, I'm trying to think of what the right word for it is. I feel like I'm just sitting there hearing a bunch of bad stories, and I don't know what I'm contributing, and I don't understand what my role is there. And really, there's nothing we can do as a child protection team. So when let's say there's a problem that Nick called in on his neighbor because he thought they were neglecting their child. If the operator in Indianapolis says, oh, that doesn't seem like it meets the definition of neglect, they say they're going to push that out and it's not going to be investigated. If somebody on the board knows something locally about that situation, in the past, we had the opportunity to say, we think you should look into that one anyway, even though they screened it out initially. We know a little more information, so please screen it back in and go check this out. now we can't do that, but they tell us, well, if you know more than what's on there, then you've got to call Indianapolis 2 and add to the case, or basically start a new case. Long story short, I just feel like I'm wasting my time when I'm going in there and just listening to it the way that it's set up. I really don't feel like going anymore, to be frank with you. I went for 5 years and it's gotten to the point where we're very, very limited. There's like nothing I can do. I just sit there and hear horror stories for an hour and a half with no ability to do anything. So I was going to welcome either of you to have that opportunity to take that over. Now that I've built it up so much.
It's a team that's created by statute, so.
Interesting, because the emergency room nurse will know information that the prosecutor may not know, and the prosecutor may say something that law enforcement doesn't know, and that can help a case.
It's just me and you don't really know.
The two of us don't know anything.
I guess I'm dealing with that as far as if I really want to send someone, so I can help you out with that. I don't know that I have the time.
Might be a benefit.
Is,
Good morning.
Good morning.
Phil Bueller with Russell Line Surveying Engineering, here on behalf of Captain Cornelia Turkey Farm LLC. This is about a 2 3/4 acre piece of property out on the east side of County Road 600 West, out south of Newhoff and Wagner, down by Zion Cemetery, just to the north of Zion's, northeast of Zion, Mount Zion Cemetery. So this is in the 2-mile jurisdiction of the city of Jasper, but 600 West is a county road. So we are requesting, as it relates to you guys, we would be requesting acceptance. There's approximately 225 feet of road frontage along the east side of 600 West. So we would be requesting acceptance of that right-of-way dedication of that county road right-of-way. This was approved. It's been signed by Chad Hearn. This was approved at a plat committee meeting with the city of Jasper 2 Thursdays ago. So the city of Jasper has approved this. So we're here to get your approval for the right-of-way dedication.
We're glad. I reviewed it. I move that we approve and accept the frontage and the right-of-way dedication as provided in the Captain Cornelia Estate Subdivision of Madison Civil Township.
I'll second.
I should ask, we didn't give our engineer a chance to weigh in on it. So.
I've looked at it, it's fine.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you much. Appreciate it. It's got to be signed.
Yeah.
One last copy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Did you redo it?
It's right away dedication.
Instead of like that, or what do you think?
Oh, you
I'll
have
get
to.
it. Sandy, I'll get those.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
This
this
one,
one.
we got the elevation where it's like my links.
There's a.
I just thought it'd be easier if I signed all of them. It has to be-
Yeah.
I said this one, I was happy. It was. Bring it out. This one?
I have no idea.
Okay. I don't know where this one came from.
I printed one Friday or whatever, is that the right one?
My thing,
21?
so we'll do the one with the,
Whatever's fine.
we'll use it. Sandy said you front of it,
When I missed one, Chad missed
Do we need to do this in multiple terms, or why was the, this is the one that had the emergency thing, right? We do some of them, but not with this ordinance.
Right.
So should we approve it today? Okay, so if it's approved, and then it can be published, go ahead. And then was there the third? So we've got addresses.
Yeah, I've got another one here. This is the electronic communication one.
Okay.
One, two,
Mr. Mayor, you take care of the subdivision thing, or who's what? Let it easier saying anything?
Who, what? I'm
These
just
line
gonna-
that.
I have to take it.
I know you've come back to who we gave it to.
there's 4 Mylar, but only 3 paper. Is that
That
right?
sounds about right.
One of the small pleasures when I went to signing that's my wife. And just like,
Slide.
All right, next up, we have Hazel Riverton, requesting a road closure. Mr. Kramer? Morning, sir.
Morning.
Good morning.
Just, we're looking to, on July 10th, we kind of like to close off on Park Street in Hayesville. And we're looking at just a stretch from just slightly north, a little bridge shortly north of the county trash collection site, and then on up to 7210 Park Street, which is just past the Dorsum Field. And that's just for our annual summer fest. We're only going to be doing it for one day this year, so.
So it doesn't even block anybody from getting anywhere, they just have to go the other side.
Yeah, they just go the other side, yeah.
And do we have you discussed the road closure with the highway department?
No.
Do you have any issues with the road closure? Mr. Burr?
No.
Do they need to coordinate with you for, salt workers or whatever you call
If
it?
they need barricades, yes, Steve usually handles the barricades.
Do you need barricades?
If you need barricades to close the road, keep people out.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm not sure if we have our own or not, but they've always been there, so I'm
Right.
assuming it's.
If they do, if you need something, the highway department, you can talk to Steve or you can come myself too.
Like at the highway department.
And we have you sign them out, but we'll get you some cones and road closures.
Okay, how much lead time should we go? Something like that.
Just give us a day or two notice.
Okay, they just go over to the highway department building and just grab them.
We'll.
Hey,
You said July 10th, and can you tell me the roads again?
it's Park Street, and it from just north of the trash collection site, there's a little bridge that goes over that little creek that goes through there, and then on up to 7210, which is a building that's a Route 10 storage building. We like to have it all that whole day, so we can set up and fix up and get things ready. And we're not gonna be setting up as much as we oftentimes do, but we're gonna need to leave it open. We're gonna want to open the day before because we have to have like the inspector has to come through there and Homeland Defense and all those people.
So, when does it end?
That night,
Like 10 o'clock, midnight?
10 o'clock, but realistically midnight.
How about 6 a.m. to midnight?
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. So we have a request for a road closure, a partial closure of Park Street from 6 a.m. to midnight. And I support the closure. Any other discussion here?
I support this.
It's Commissioner Roberts?
No, I'm sorry. No.
All right, that's my motion. I move that we approve the Hazel Riverton request to close the street from 6 to midnight on July 10th.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries.
Yeah, well, thank you very
Mr.
much.
Craig, appreciate it.
And if we need anything, we'll contact you guys.
Okay.
Thanks.
Summerfest, is that what it is?
Yes. We have bid openings in about 8 minutes here. Expecting any others.
Should I call over or you don't?
No, it should be good.
Hey, is there any more bids over there? Okay, thanks. No more.
Okay, I think we should go ahead and, since we have a few minutes, we should discuss resolution number 2021-23. This is a resolution establishing the policy by which members of the Board of Commissioners of Dubois County, Indiana may participate by electronic means of communication. This is something we've discussed before. We recall that prior to COVID, your participation in a county meeting had to be in person. Last year, they relaxed that to help with social distancing measures, and people were allowed to participate in county meetings electronically. The Housing Rule Act 1437, I believe, became effective a couple months ago, and there are requirements that if the county would like to, county board of commissioners would like to continue having that as an option, that we may in fact pass a resolution to allow that. And there are terms and conditions to making that work, such as we need to be able to simultaneously communicate with each other, so it has to be live, and the public must be allowed to simultaneously attend and observe the meeting. I'm in favor of putting this into place. And it would be a situation where one of us was out of town for a reason, or was ill, was a future commissioner, was in military service, then it would allow them to still participate in the meeting. Would anybody like to review this further?
I reviewed it, and I'm in favor as well. The only thing I would ask is just on the implementation of it, since we have to be able to communicate live, audio and video, we would have to set up a Zoom capability. Is that correct?
Correct, Zoom or something comparable to this, such as.
Yeah, something.
Right. But that would be the premise, and then there'd be a live link. So we had done that earlier in the year. Right around President's Day, we had a snow event. We moved our meeting to a Thursday. We coordinated that then became a Zoom meeting for participation due to inclement weather for participants in Indy here locally as well. And then we published that out for the community as well, where they could have joined on and had their own little Brady Bunch square, so to speak. And then what we did with that is we uploaded it to the YouTube channel, but did not record it with YouTube.
Right.
So if that's something we're going to do, yeah, we need a little bit of lead time on it.
Right.
So would it be possible if we had, let's say that the technology on that iPad worked, we could have Commissioner Brahmas on the iPad, it's recorded and streamed through YouTube, the public can see and hear that commissioner, and it is recorded and streamed. Is that good enough, or do we have to, or is there more technology to that?
Potentially that could work, yes.
That's kind of where I was thinking. As far as the public is concerned, YouTube is sufficient.
YouTube is, yes.
YouTube is sufficient, but as far as we're concerned, as a board of commissioner, it would not be.
It would not be sufficient, no, because there's not a live interaction.
So if we had both things going at the same time, we'd be okay, right?
I think if we could communicate live with the missing commissioner here, the remote commissioner here, and it's recorded and streamed there, the public can see it in person, and they can hear it probably just as well on YouTube as they.
I think maybe the only, back to the iPad, but the only thing that would pick up on the YouTube.
I don't think that any of us are, it's still preferable to be in person when possible. So I will move that we approve resolution number 2021-23 to allow for the electronic.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Here's your.
So we'll do bid opening.
I'll be right back.
I just want one number, yeah. We'll break it out ourselves later.
People understand Evo or do you drive?
I have never heard of one of those up yet.
It's 10 o'clock, we'll have bid openings. Mr. Stair, are you going to
From the attempt to,
attempt to do that?
Mr. Wendell gave me a solid letter opener here.
That's right.
All right, so, first project we're opening up here is the Jasper Dubois Road, Division Road, 575 East combined packet. The bid here is from Calpar Paving. So I just read them all and we'll check a couple of things. Yeah. All right. Total project package is $731,643.70. E&B paving. Total for the three, $734,790. 734,790. J.H. Rudolph.
Back, go this way.
$878,150, $878,150. yellow cab. $712,142.50. 712-142.50.
4370.
Next will be for project 21-07 for County Road 600 West. First bid being open is from Calcar. And that is for an amount of $187,206. Next one will be from E&D Paving. Total bid of $197,500. J.H. Rudolph. $225,193.90. Final from CNR Construction. $211,822. Next project is 21-08, the Northwest Suburban Northwood Village Subdivisions and Ackermann Road. First bid is from Calcar Paving. $152,090. 152090. Next from E&B Paving. $150,820. 150820. J.H. Rudolph. $181,818.40. 181818.40. Final from CNR Construction. $157,516.85. 157516.85. Next project 21-09 Ellsworth Road. bid from Calcar Paving. $213,767, 213,767. Next bid is from E&B Paving, the amount of $215,670, 215,670. J.H. Rudolph. Amount of $272,790.20. That's 272,790.20. CNR Construction. Amount of $211,716, 211,716. Final project 21-10 is for 420 South, 430 South, and I-170 East. Sorry, I don't have you guys up in Indianapolis. I apologize. 170. Calcar Paving. $36,355.90. Sorry, 36355.90. E&B Paving. $35,640, 35640. J.H. Rudolph. $41,224.80, 41224.80. CNR Construction. $35,000 even. 35000. Mr. Windholt, I believe, is going to check the numbers and make sure everything's in order, and if possible, come back with some recommendations here within this meeting. Correct. Correct?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
So, we will put on the end of the agenda at about 11:10, that Mr. Windholt will be back then for hopefully bid approval. Next up, we have a couple additional resolutions, or resolution and ordinance. Just take these one at a time. The first one up is resolution number 2021-21, a resolution adopting a restricted addresses policy. We have one in place. The sheriff, anything with mistake here, please correct me. I believe the legislature has adjusted those and expanded the scope of who can be covered underneath this policy. And this, being effective July 1st, mirrors what that
That is correct. They added to the list of individuals eligible in our resolution. Now we're reflecting the same.
Does anyone have any thoughts on the resolution?
I'm sorry, what's the number of that?
2021-21 is the resolution number.
I didn't know you were gonna squeeze that other one in, I have an order otherwise.
No, it's fine. Anybody have
And again, what was it, summarize it again.
So this is a resolution. The state requires us to adopt a policy to protect certain individuals' addresses. We already have
Okay,
a
yes.
policy in place.
Yes,
They've added to the class of people that are eligible for that. This resolution mirrors the statute.
okay, yeah. No,
So previously, it may have been judges.
They just added
It was
on to
limited.
different classifications.
Yes,
I'll move that we approve the resolution as presented.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
aye,
Aye. The motion carries. Next up,
The next is a ordinance 2021-22. This is ordinance codification. If you recall, we've worked with AM Legal, and I think that we've gotten those books handed out. We discussed at the last meeting. This is a ordinance to formally adopt that codification. That took everything that we've done for X number of years and put them all in one place and assign them appropriate title numbers as reflected in this ordinance.
All 15 books have been distributed.
I was just trying to remember if I got mine. I think I did.
You took yours.
Okay, very good.
There's one up there, there's one in the drawer.
I messed up. I signed the numbers line.
Which one was that?
Can you sign on mine
they're
or?
restricted, actually, we have two of them, luckily.
Hey, you're in luck. Let's do that. I've got another one over here too.
That's the one I think that we had two copies of it.
I'm usually the second line, so I just didn't even.
and I was gonna sign the bottom and draw arrows and.
Here's
White out.
Yeah,
Here's
well,
my signature page. Circle it that way. Look where you're signing. That's possible.
I'll try harder next time.
I don't know where the next one's gonna be at though. So anyways, this is kind of the final spot of this, and then as we amend or add to, we would do similar, again, supplemental ordinances in the future. And I believe that the auditor's office also put a link directly on our webpage for that too. So
And I used it, I used the search tool and it seems to function. The limited amount of it that I looked at, I think I have some questions on things, but we'll deal with that, just like we always do anytime.
That's right.
And I still wonder if we're gonna find things that were approved in the minutes that aren't in previously, so.
and we can adopt them appropriately going forward.
So, this is ordinance number 2021-22, an ordinance enacting a code of ordinances for the county. So, I move that we approve.
I'll second.
First and second, any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the ordinance, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Posted on that to publish.
How many times and when?
Twice, once, twice.
I still have this in my
And I sent you.
notes from last time. This is Mentor Road,
I have
Taylor
to-
Hollow Road,
I
thing
have
with
that.
Jeff
I
Jackson
just
last
thought the
time we
other one
discussed.
did.
What did we come up with that? I mean, we
This
just,
one
I know
I
we
have.
said again that it would be expensive to do it. It's not on the plan for this year. Did we make a thought or?
We basically said when the money's available and that it's, I mean, it's kind kind of have to fall at the right time.
Oh, section six.
It's on the radar.
Okay, I tried to get the last one, but I do need the other one.
So usually I try to take them off once we've made a decision on something. I didn't remember what our decision was.
Also published the code one 2 times.
So we've discussed it. Highway department's aware of a request from a citizen and commissioners.
I have not, one I haven't talked to.
So I think at this point, I'm caught up with my miscellaneous items. We have our next person on the agenda is at 10:30, so we have about 10 minutes here. Commissioner Hostetter, do you have anything?
I don't have anything additional.
Mr. Brahmas?
Yeah, got some things, I was just talking about Ready Grant a little bit, but I see that's coming up on the agenda, so. How about the bike and pedestrian public meeting? I sent out a notice that is Wednesday, June 16th at 6 o'clock with the presentation at 6:30. And it's at the Old Town Hall in Huntingburg. This is a public meeting where the vendor the people doing the study will lay out what they have come up with. It's the second public meeting. At the first one, they were gathering information. This one, they're more presenting that information. And at some time thereafter, the various boards and councils, the city, the county, will be asked to adopt the plan. And, by adopting the plan, that puts us in a good position to acquire grants as they become available to implement some of these ideas. That's, adopting the plan, that's all it's doing is adopting a plan. It's not deciding to move forward on any particular part of the plan. So anyway, that has been advertised. In my understanding, Mrs. Cabrick from the city, Renee was going to advertise that. And it has been advertised as a public meeting for the purpose of boards and commissioners and so forth being in attendance. Not that we would make any decisions there, but we might all be there, and therefore it is advertised as a public meeting. And it's probably advisable, as if at all possible, to get the information from them rather than from the hard copy. We will get a hard copy as to what the plan is. But, it gives you the opportunity to ask questions and find out the information from them. So anyway, that's Wednesday, June 16th at 6 o'clock at the Old Town Hall in Huntingburg. 6:30 is the presentation. The rest, from 6 to 6:30, and then after the presentation is open discussion. Okay? Next item I have here is the Dubois County COVID Memorial. We've been meeting on that. Sean's been on that call as well. So chime in if you have anything to add there. But right now, I'd say it's fair to say the committee is working towards some type of memorial display on the courthouse lawn. Whether that's a bench or some type of a monument with a bench incorporated into that, with then information etched or carved in, we're talking granite, so into that bench or into that monument, depicting the various things we want to remember about the COVID situation, the people who have lost their lives, the healthcare workers, emergency personnel, and so forth, who have been impacted by the COVID pandemic. I have talked to Scott Wolf on that. What he and I talked about and what the committee is kind of looking at is on the east side here, both the northeast and the southeast corner, there are some wrought iron benches that are not they're just benches. They're not in any way a memorial or remembrance to anything. There's nothing, written on them or anything like that. So maybe in one of those locations, perhaps pouring a 10-foot pad, or 10-foot circular pad or oval or whatever it turns out to be, pad there to set this bench or memorial on, will work. In Scott's opinion, that, that'll work fine, if that is okay with us. And we've kind of talked about this before, and my recollection from the discussion was that if it works on the courthouse lawn, we'd be open to that. But, we want to see what's proposed and what would go there. I might also.
Do they move those during Strassen Fest for people to set up? Like this one seems like it would be in the way of the big area that they do.
I don't know.
I don't think they do.
You don't think they move them?
Scott's reseeding them usually right after Strassen Fest. Yeah, just people sit in them a lot.
Yeah, you're right.
So I was thinking that they just had like stakes holding them in and they moved that one, at least one of them. Maybe they don't.
There is a light under both trees that doesn't work anymore. So there is power there. I'm not saying that we would need power for this memorial, but there is power there. But that's really the only thing there that's kind of not in the way, but in the area. So anyway, that's, right now they're focused on fundraising, how we would raise the funds to support this. They've been informed that if it's depending upon what type of granite monument or whatever, it could take up to 6 months to get that ordered and get it in. So there's been no date set for a presentation. We'll also be working on what type of a presentation we want to make on that as well. I mean, we talked about doing the presentation a little bit earlier, as early as July 4th or something like that, and just have an easel with a display of what we want to put up there, or to wait until we can actually have whatever the display is, and have it at that time. And I think that's kind of where we're leaning, is waiting down the road and not have this presentation early.
I would agree with that. Let's get a tentative plan at least approved.
Okay. Along the same line, really, I shouldn't, well, in my discussion with Scott, we were looking at the Soldier and Sailor Monument, and he pointed out that the wrought iron fence and the foundation holding the fence needs repair. And so, the two projects are not related or connected. One, we could certainly do one without the other, but do we want to maybe think about that, about doing some upkeep there or some maintenance there at the same time with the wrought iron fence and the foundation? We talked about just removing the wrought iron fence. I'm not sure that it does much good there. We also looked at the cannons, and I know we've talked about that before. Whether or not we want to pursue the, value of having those cannons there, or is there something else that we could do? So,
My initial thoughts are, I like the wrought iron. I think it adds a little something. I think it's neat. I'd be okay with, I think he talked about either, would you have them removed and we remove them and then they get sandblasted and repaired and put back, or does all that happen on site? I don't remember.
I don't know.
But I think there needs
either way it could be.
and it needs a new gate, or the gate put back together a little bit. But I think I'd prefer something more fitting around, where the guns are sitting. I don't think there might be something.
The guns.
Yeah, I think something.
I love the cannons. I mean, I've always been there, and I to me, they're part of that monument.
Who?
I don't know.
Is there some organization, I know there was an organization that was formed to build it, the monument. way back 125 years ago or whatever it was. But is there some organization that is in charge of it, maintains, that we ought to be talking to?
Ones I'm aware of.
Well, veteran services maybe, but I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe we could ask Amber what she thinks, or she reach out to some people maybe. See, so I don't necessarily like the cannons, and you really like them. See, the way I look at it, and maybe I have a lack of education on it, but just weapons of mass destruction sitting on the county property just doesn't seem.
Or weapons of defense. I guess you could say.
Yeah, I guess it depends how you look at it.
But they're relics. Is that
The fixture there since I can remember.
tradition?
I do not know when they were put there. I'd be interested to know if anybody does know that.
Well, the monument was built in the 1890s, I believe.
It's on behind Mr. Schneider there on the picture. There's something, I don't know if it says a date.
Are there cannons on that picture?
There were different cannons. There were wooden, with wooden wheels. It's maybe my memory's off, but my memory says there's been something similar there for a long time.
So anyway, there probably needs to be some work done around the monument. And it opens up a discussion for what we do and how we do it.
I'd be happy to see it, any design ideas similar to with this COVID monument.
I would never question doing anything different with the monument itself.
I just
Other
know that
than
area.
maintenance. But,
So is there a next step that we need to take?
no,
Just you just had a discussion with him?
just had a discussion with him about it. I don't know, if Arnold would know something about the historical aspect of that. I might give him a call and see what.
Anybody knows, Art? I believe he would. I certainly will fall short in that category.
You want to go on with the agenda though, right?
Yes. So what year did that say? Did it say anything?
It said that 1875 is when they enlarged the courthouse. It doesn't talk about when the monument itself, but the monument's in the footnote. And there are not cannons that.
Oh, there's none in that picture on the bottom right?
Not that I can tell.
Okay.
So after that, at some point.
So sometime between 1875.
It's been less than 150 years.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Werner, you have a.
Sanitation around us, give many COVID vaccines and hopefully use. Obviously, when it was colder this spring, the nurses and staff had some difficulty working out there when it was 30 degrees. And also sometimes it kind of creates a wind tunnel. So a lot of our supplies and stuff fly off our tables. So we have received an immunizations grant for anything that we need COVID related. And we're looking into putting up like a temporary type enclosure to where our staff can work in. And that's going to take removing the awning that's currently there. I think it's only 4 foot by 5 foot. We're going to increase the size of that and use that as the roof because we can't go up 14 feet with a wall. It's just not feasible. And we're planning on getting marine grade vinyl tarps as our temporary walls we can add or remove whenever we need it. As far as if it's cold or if it's windy, we can take those up and down, and then we're going to just get a small heater and use it as needed. So just letting you guys know that it's going to be a little bit of temporary enclosure there, and I guess asking for you guys' approval. I got a quote from Cypress. They did the initial work to put up a new awning and then the heaters from Masters. You guys can look at that. But I've got enough grant money to cover the whole project. It's just going to allow us to use the drive-through more throughout the year than when the weather's nice. So if it's cold, they can work outside, or if it's windy, we can put those walls up. It should help us utilize it more than what we had been able to in the spring. I mean, we've been using it every day since it warmed up, but sometimes if it gets windy or the rain kind of blows in, it gets a little bit dicey at times. And I guess with that, the awning that is up there now, the 4 foot by 5 foot, is technically ours because we purchased it. So if you would have a county office that would need an awning over the top of a door, it would be available because the site need for that. I don't think we have another door in the health department that would need it. But
You guys need anything like that at Highway? He's got an overhead, he's got an awning that hangs over his door, what'd you say, about 4 foot?
I think it's 4 by 5.
Does it hang over or does it?
So it's attached to the building and has cantilevers that come out to the front to hold the front up.
Okay, no posts.
No posts, and this new one is not gonna have posts either because we have to be able to drive underneath it. And the only reason I needed a bigger awning is because I had numerous people there to look at how I could build some type of temporary structure, and nobody could really come up with anything. And then, well, if we increase the awning size to like an office area, and then I could get these temporary walls to come down, Seifert said that they would be able to make that happen. We were thinking, some type of, garage door type fixture that would come down, but nobody could really make anything work because the awning, the actual awning, the overhead canopy is like 14 feet high. So it's just kind of a difficult situation. That's why we had to go with the bigger canopy. And that's going to be the perimeter of the walls, and then it'll be the roof of the enclosure.
At first, I didn't think I got it. Now you're saying it's not just the canopy; it's the rolled down thing to hold heat in the small area.
So
where the table is sitting.
This metal canopy is going to be over the door. That's going to be there all the time, and then these tarps are then going to attach to the perimeter of that canopy to create a room.
Like they do over at the barbecue place.
Probably, yes.
Plastic wall.
Yes, exactly. And then we'll
When you
keep that.
come bring money and an idea, it's easy to approve. I'm in favor.
The canopy, this 10 by 12 canopy, what's the height of that?
It'll be, I think we're going to move it up a foot. I think the one there is about 8 to 9 feet high, so we'll probably move it up just a little bit.
And your
so I can get the trailer underneath
the roof is
the roof is like 14 feet. So we might move it up a little bit so I can back that trailer underneath because it will come out further than the one that's there now. We typically store our trailer underneath there and use that as our supply storage from when we do the clinics. We can just pop in and out of the trailer.
As far as the existing one, the treasurer has asked multiple times to have a kiosk, something here on the side of the wall that is supposed to have something covering it, so it might be used there.
It's
is this the kind of what she was asking for?
Wasn't there some issue with the city on that?
We'll have to check with the city.
Yeah, we'd have to get it.
It's like a dark grayish, like a dark gray color. So I mean, I could possibly be painted, but that's what the finish is right now. I don't know, might even have a picture of it in here.
Does anybody have any problem with him moving forward with these quotes?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I do have a picture of it.
I agree, you come in with an idea of money, it's.
So that's what's there now. We're going to increase.
Well, that's just a frame?
That gray awning right there is removing, and we're going to make a bigger one.
Okay, that's not what I was expecting. I was expecting to find like a cloth.
No, it's a metal awning.
Metal or aluminum is metal. Okay.
So
That's why I said hanging out over the sidewalk, the city will have to be involved in that if we want to put it down here.
I can give the exact dimensions, but I think it's 4 by 5, I think. I don't know if it's 5 feet wide or 4 feet deep. But it would be available once we take this one down, put the new one on. So I'll go ahead and
I'll move that we approve the request to modify the building as has been requested by Mr. Warner.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Anything else you want to share with us?
that's all I have unless you have anything for me.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we have a couple
So does the
minutes.
city, I was asking,
No
does the city have to do any approval for that?
They'll probably have to have it for a minute, so I think they're, contractor will probably take care of most of that.
So these guys will contract?
Sean, is just be, I guess we had brought up with any change modification to the building, you may want to check with the city or with Cypher to make sure that if there's a permit or a building permit or anything that needs to be done, just make sure they're gonna do it.
Cypress would know that. Okay, I can get with Chuck today.
Yeah, I would just, if you call Cypher, you can say that you've been approved and just, what steps you need to take. Okay, and I'll use the restroom, we'll come back for the right grant.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have.
And you're gonna pay this out of the,
Yeah. 12/7 something. I don't have the quote for the plastic walls, but those were $200 a piece. There should be enough money to cover it.
Got the rotating back up the parts.
They have to be see-through, so they have to be the clear marine grade vinyl, otherwise they're not gonna last.
Yeah.
So. All right, anything else? Oh, and then, what's up, it's or Friday, so, well, he's gotta do this all, and they're supposed to be putting that in Wednesday.
Well, you barely got that.
I said certified.
Yeah.
And a regular. So you didn't sign the certified yet. You gotta check this one. That's why I said before. People have got the regular, I've got the certified this year, they can't even work.
So it starts overflowing.
Okay. But good. Very good. Well, should go. You text me later in the week.
All right, is it on?
See you, Sean.
Hey, here. All right, so the ready grant. I don't know how much both of you have kept up with that or looked at the process or know much about it. I think I'm getting caught up to speed somewhat. My understanding is that there is a large amount of money that has been approved by the state to be used by various regions or areas of the state. And they want neighboring counties, cities, and towns to self-identify a region. I mean, in my understanding is the county would have to be the selecting force behind that. We get with a region or we create a new region and we could start that process. We would have to, once we identify that region, we would have to tell the Indiana Economic Development Corporation what that region is. We have to set up a nonprofit, we have to set up something to could be that coordinating entity, then we could do that, and then we could request a grant that would help with planning for what we would do to implement ready money. And that all moves very quickly. By July 1st, we would have to identify our region, and then we would have to notify IEDC around that same time. Then from what I'm hearing, if you apply for a grant, they're turning those around pretty quickly, and there's been a couple people that have already been approved for those. And you submit your redevelopment plans to them, and then I guess you start making connections with public-private philanthropic organizations to implement a plan of some sort. And depending on the kind of plan that you do, there's a different amount of matching money that
Gateway something, and I'd have to look into more what that is, but it exactly duplicates the Region 15. There's 6 counties in the Region 15. Geographically, that one kind of makes the most sense to me. We're talking about around the south and east of us mostly, and plus Pike as well. Pike, Dubois, Spencer, Perry, Crawford, and Orange. So it kind of, I think we almost have to kind of take a look at what projects we think might be with the ROI district, or the Region 15 district, or the Evansville district. What makes the most sense? So, to be honest with you, I don't know where we go from here. You're right, the July 1st deadline is in place there to select a region, not necessarily to select a project, but to select a region. Yeah, I don't know what the next step is.
So the meeting out, I think your meeting was Wednesday, is that correct? You met with some people, folks on Wednesday?
Wednesday and Thursday, I believe.
So I met with some of the same people that you met with on Wednesday, on Thursday, I think, with both mayors were there, economic development, tourism people from Orange County, Spencer County, Dubois County were there. And we heard a presentation, and we spent a lot of time talking about this, and the mayors, I believe, were saying that the county is the only one that can make the decision, that we make the decision, we can only pick one. The county can only be in one of these three,
Right.
but other municipalities and subunits could be in more than one if they wanted. I believe that might be the differentiating. We can only be in Uplands, for example, and we can't say, oh, we'll be in all three and try to take advantage of it that way. They want us to select a single. So that was their thinking on it, that we would make that decision. Again, I don't know what to think about this. Some of the things they're talking about that we could do here is quality of life issues, quality of opportunity issues, and entrepreneurship. There's just.
And the matching part of it is small. Or the money we would get is small. I think it's 20%. That we would use as ready money. Only 20% of it would go toward whatever project is selected. And 60 to 80% would be private, and another 20 perhaps other public funds in some way. Whether and grants, even the art money could be part of that, 20%. But up to 60% of it as private money. And I'm not sure how that translates into what kind of project. I'm trying to visualize what kind of project, and we talked about broadband before. Maybe it's a project like that. In other words, if a company came in and wanted to build out broadband throughout Dubois County, and they said, well, with the 20% grant on this, it can be affordable and we can do this. In other words, they would own the infrastructure. And we would simply facilitate getting the 20% grant to help them afford to do this.
Similar to the
I don't
Connecting
know.
America money that
Yeah.
PSC and Orange County Fiber have already received for a build out. But maybe PSC says, you put in, if this group can put in 2 million, we can put in the 8 million, or whatever it is, like you're saying, it may make sense for them to accelerate.
And I'm only using that as an example. There may
Sure.
be numerous projects where a private entity is wanting to pursue this, but can't make it work without additional funding.
I think from that meeting that I was in, so it had representatives from other counties, which made it a little nicer. I think the thought was being connected with Monroe County or Evansville may make the others in the room smaller fish. They feel like they might not be represented as well if they're in a group with bigger areas.
Yes.
I heard that.
Some of them had already been invited. I think maybe Spencer County had already been invited to join the Evansville group. They haven't accepted that yet. Orange County like Dubois County is, I think, have been invited to join the Uplands Group, or the ROI. They had no invitation. They're not large enough to create their own and invite others in, so they're looking for somebody to attach on to as part of the region. And I don't know, is it fair to, when I was sitting in that meeting, I'm thinking which direction to go. Is it better to be a big fish in a small pond, or small fish in a big pond? For example, the Region 15, we might be the hub of that, whereas we're kind of down on this southern end of it.
You mentioned Region 15. Tara Damon reached out to me the other day. She said she had seen this on our agenda and said that I guess Lisa is working on something to do with this. I actually kind of expected Lisa to be at the meeting today. I think Tara was going to mention something to her, so I'm surprised she's not here.
Yeah, and I keep using the word Region 15 because it exactly mirrors this other group. Do you know what the other group is? But
I heard the same thing.
But my understanding is Region 15 cannot be the leading agency on this. What Chad said about setting up some kind of nonprofit or whatever, this other group would be the group that, and it's the Dubois County Chamber lady was talking about. It's Gateway, something Gateway. But I'd have to go back and figure out what it is. But they would be the clearinghouse or whatever the group that would, that it would be focused on. Not necessarily their projects, but it might have to pass through them.
One thing I like about ROI is they're already set up. They have a structure, they've got people. With the Region 15 thing, I think I like that region better. I think I like how we fit in that region better, but if it's who will run it, who will be, what will that look like? I guess would be my concern there. If Region 15 could run it, they have the structure, they have those people, I'm confident would be comfortable with them. So I don't know where we would go.
But then I wonder how much are we going to have to fight them, if you will, to get anything in our area funded?
Which one?
ROI. That's kind of the little fish in the big pond scenario.
But I feel that same way with any regionalism, and we even talked about that with the tourism folks. Historically, it's been, we want the people to stay in Orange County, or Dubois County, or Spencer County, we haven't looked at it holistically, that let's try to get them to stay here a day, over there a day, and keep them in our area. So it's more, there's competition between counties for people's tourism dollar, or their employment, or, their labor. So this is a new way to look at things for people that used to be in silos, I think. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's just a matter of
Finding regional projects that help everyone.
That work for us. And you're right, ROI, I imagine if we were to give the radios director a call and say we want to be part, that's all we have to do. We pass some resolution here that say we're going to be part of it, and they will take over.
So where do we go from today until our next meeting? Is our sewer project, is there anything with that could be help regionally? Is there any?
The drinking water, for example, Toka River and White River, drinking water. Petersburg pulled out, I believe, the White River. I'm not sure about Toka, where it goes from there. But any sewer project that makes the water cleaner going through them would help them. So I'm assuming if we were in Pike County, for example, and we sewer out the north side of our county, what drains into the White River, that would help them. Because the river water would be much cleaner coming through their county. But do they see that as a benefit?
all this stuff is gonna be, it might be a great benefit to Dubois County or Monroe County, but to the other counties, it's a benefit, but not quite as much. I think any of the projects that we would choose to do would benefit one group maybe a little more than the other.
Potable water, for example, and this is just off the top of my head, could they benefit? And they also, they serve, the counties they serve, are the Region 15 counties. And, so they serve all of those counties. Would they have projects yeah, and yes, they would have projects. But would this be something that could benefit them with some of their projects? And that would definitely serve all of the people in that Region 15 area. And it's not a given that all the counties in that Region 15 would go with that group. Orange County would be the outlier, I think. I think there's going to be a lot of pull for them to go up to the ROI uplands area.
So here's something that Ed Cole sent out, and I think you will move on it. Dubois Strong is working with the Economic Development Region Groups, ROI and Radius, to convene a regional economic acceleration and development initiative that's ready. Grant listening session on Monday, June 14th from 11:30 to 1:30 at BUJ. We're gonna have lunches. They want to know if we want to RSVP, and they provided some slides, and that's where I got some of the information that I mentioned today. ROI President and CEO Tina Peterson describing the ROI Ready Grant approach and process. Your input is important to the region and Dubois County. If you can't attend, please consider someone else in your business organization. So.
Yeah, I wanna be there. I don't have it on my calendar though. When is it again?
June 14th,
Right.
11:30 to 1:30. If you want to go, you're supposed to RSVP with Mr. Cole, and they will have you a box lunch.
Yeah, I saw that, but I didn't put it on the calendar.
Well, so you'll go, and I guess you could report back to us, or maybe if we want to attend, I guess we could make our own.
I can't do much meetings.
I also have a Radius meeting on, gosh, what is that, 17th? Oh, it's this week, the 9th. There we go. I have a Radius meeting on the 9th.
So you can maybe find out a little more about it then.
Find out some more about it at that point.
Okay, well, let's get back on the agenda here. We can circle back to ready grants if we need to. The assessor's office had some surplus items.
They had sent out pictures of 2 wooden file cabinets, no takers.
From memory, they look nice. I mean,
Yeah,
they're better
I mean, they're
quality
two
than
wooden-
some of them.
There were 2 wooden 2-drawer, no takers.
What did the inside look like? I mean,
I
file
don't-
cabinets, or they,
I think the file drawer, I could ask Angie.
That's what it looked like to me, was file drawers.
like they pulled out this way?
I'm just going by the picture.
They wanted to claim them. So what would you like to do with them, you know?
Surplus, get rid of them, donate them, whatever you want her to do with them.
I hate giving something away that's decent quality, but
What are
you
you gonna
know,
do with them?
stick it in that back room with the other stuff we don't need. Any thoughts here? Make it surplus?
Declared surplus, I'd recommend, a restore or someplace like that, or St. Vincent, or someplace that would recycle in there. There you go.
This is the new Fifth Street building.
What about the museum? They took a lot of the shelving and things like that out of Fifth Street and reused that.
I'll move that we declare those 2 cabinets as surplus items and request the assessor find a reuse for them.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. We have a new position request from Purdue Extension. Lisa Wilson.
Okay, so Dubois County has the 12th highest population of Hispanic ethnicity within the state. As Purdue Extension, as we are trying to expand our 4-H programming to everyone in the county and HHS programming and our programming, we are really hitting kind of a brick wall because no one in our office speaks any Spanish. So when people call, sometimes they have a translator and sometimes they do not. Sometimes that leads to us being able to help them, and sometimes it leads to us not being able to help them. We do have other county offices, like Davies County has someone who does speak Spanish there as their native language, and so we can sometimes transfer to Davies County, but obviously that person's not always available. We've been very lucky. I don't know if you've seen in the news that we are going to be a host site for Dubois County Juntos, which is a 4-H program for 8th through 12th graders. And we've been able to receive over $20,000 in grant money to run that program. So we can hire a person specifically for that program, but we'd like to hire a part-time person in our office that can help with all programming, not just 4-H, and also be that liaison between the Juntos program at Southwest Dubois Schools and our office so that we can expand our programming to everybody in the county. So our hope is that we could budget about $15,000 to hire a person most of the time on 2 days a week, but depending on what kind of programming and where that will be, there may be weeks where they would work more or weeks where they would work less. I envision that to be very similar to how we currently run our summer program assistant, where we will check on that amount quarterly and kind of adjust hours as needed so that they are available for programming when we need them. We could also utilize them to translate our written documents into Spanish and our advertisements into Spanish so that everybody knows what programming we have available in the county. Because right now we do use some people for that, but it's just not feasible to constantly rely on other people in the county to translate. So that's our request.
Can you remind the board your funding mechanism to run your office?
Yes, so we are partially funded by the county and partially funded by Purdue University.
In what proportions?
I don't know the exact proportions, and some of our computer costs, so some of that computer funding comes from the county. Also, some of our operating costs, professional development, all those sorts of things comes from Purdue. The county funds our travel, our office staff, rent, and some office supplies.
So this would primarily be an aid in 4-H?
No, we are hoping that this person can be an aid throughout the entire office. So 4-H, Ag and Natural Resources, and Health and Human Sciences.
Okay.
So what would the title be of this position?
I was going to call them a program assistant, but we would definitely want them to be bilingual. But they will be assisting educators with programs and even possibly running some programs of their own for the community.
What hourly rate are you looking at?
I would probably bring them on. I don't have, do you have the hourly rates with us for our office staff? I think they're at like between $15 and $18 an hour. So probably around a $15 rate.
You don't know the wage classification, you would have it.
I don't know what that would fall in the COMATs, so restrictions.
I guess my initial thought, and we had somebody in earlier asking for more money for employees and benefits and things like that, and I was probably opposed to that one as well. Not saying I'm opposed to this, I was opposed to that one. With this one, I think my first thought is, is it less on the county to hire this piecemeal? In other words, if you have documents that need to be translated, we pay to have them translated. If you, and then for like the courts, for example, they need someone, I think they call someone in and that person works as needed instead of having them on Mondays and Wednesdays, they're here every week, and
Maybe I
we'll
could
find something for them to do.
give you an example of an instance where we might use this program assistant. So Indiana has a 7.3% population of Hispanic people. Dubois County is 8.7. So we're higher than even the state down here. When you look at just the children, we're at 14.2. Southwest Dubois has an upgrade grant where they're paid through the Wellborn Baptist Foundation to do some grant work and some education around things like nutrition, physical activity, social emotional learning, things beyond the curriculum. Okay, they have a large Hispanic population there. I can only teach so much myself. If I had a bilingual program assistant, we could get their whole population through this. So right now, when I go in there, I'm only reaching about half of the students. They even have their dual language classes where they're teaching non-Hispanic whites to speak Spanish so that they can create a more immersive population. So.
And at what classes are you teaching, or what age group?
Right now I'm working with the middle school.
There's a big population of middle school students that don't speak English.
Broken English, or their parents don't speak English. So they speak English at school and they go home and speak Spanish.
Right.
So that translation of our education from school to home is not necessarily happening because we can't send home the documents that say, hey parents, here's what your children have learned. Will you help us cook healthy meals at home? Will you help them practice these skills?
Sure.
This person would be less of like a person that's just sitting at our office waiting for us to have needs, but a person who would accompany with us to our programs to help make our programs more inclusive. It's more just about knowing the language. It's also about knowing the culture. And it's really difficult for us to know what that community needs because we don't have that education piece as much as we would like. And so we're just hoping that that could jumpstart helping our community.
So it's kind of in our head how we see this all playing out.
I'm sure you've looked under all rocks for this. Purdue willing to help in any way on something like this?
They generally do not fund program assistance. If they do, it's for a very short term until the county can pick it up. They generally fund those educator positions. It's not a sustainable route to go, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay. So you're looking at a program assistant title. Of course, it comes down to what wage classification. You've got the seasonal supports 4-H program, COMAT 1, administrative assistant COMAT 2, and program assistant COMAT 3. Big difference there in the wage range. The COMAT 3 is $17.49 to $22.96. That's in 2022. And what did you say you were thinking about price range?
Well, I don't think that they need to be paid at that wage because our current program assistant does independent programming on their own and planning, and this person would be more assisting and working along with an educator. So I don't know if that needs to be a different classification or if there's more appropriate classification.
COMAT 2, which is what your administrative assistant is,
yeah,
is a 1202 to 1740.
Until we can see what that person has the capability of doing, or until they're here a couple of years and maybe they do grow a little more independent once they learn more about what we do, and could possibly move up a COMAT, but not at this time.
Our current program assistant has been there for 7 years.
Yeah.
So she has earned the ability to do independent programming.
And I'm not even sure here, we only list these 4 classifications. That doesn't mean there's only one person in each of those classifications, but you could tell me that office manager, program assistant, administrative assistant, those are 3 full-time positions?
Yep.
Okay, and then the 4th is the seasonal.
Right.
Help. Okay, so you've got 3 full-time positions and you're asking for another part-time in addition to the seasonal, which is normal. Okay.
So, just to clarify again, you said what, there's 4 full-time?
3 full-time presently. That are on the county,
That's not counting the educators.
yeah.
But
the
we
educated-
pay for them indirectly too, right?
We pay for,
Well, we
Those are
subsidize
county
pay for
employees.
them.
We pay $114,000 as a
Subsidy.
subsidy to Purdue, and Purdue makes the payment, so
Oh,
we're paying for that
all
too.
right, I'm just,
Yes.
That's not accurate, we're paying for the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at county employees.
Those funds that you pay are contractual services, so it does go into a pot that somewhat pays for our salaries, but it does not pay 100% for our salaries and our fringe and all of that. It also pays for, our professional development and programs and training and supplies and things like that. So there are times that we get supplies to our office from Purdue that every county gets that you guys don't have to pay for. It was part of that contractual services.
And how is that contractual amount determined again?
That amount is determined partially by how many educators are in the county, but it's also determined on our population and the amount of programming that we are provided, because we also have some regional educators that serve Dubois County, and we also have the NEP program, the Nutrition Education Program, that has 2 regional people that serve Dubois County as well, but are not 100% housed in our office.
With your budget, you're probably working on a new budget that's coming up soon. What's your budget looking like compared to what was approved this year? Not counting this position.
The contractual services has gone up some, and it's comparable to what your county wage increase is. We are going to request an increase in our rent. There's a room down the hall that is currently not being used, and as you guys know, we are kind of busting at the seams, and we have boxes and things sitting around in places that it's just not safe at this point, and we just need more space. So that room, we are asking to rent, which we go to county council to request that at the end of the month. So that will go up a bit if that gets approved, but other than that, everything will remain the same.
You may have just mentioned it, but what would that add to your rent?
The rent will go up about $3,000 over the course of a year for the addition of that room.
Any comments from commissioners? Commissioner House?
There's part of me that wants to support this because I want to support that community, and I think it's a great idea. And then back to what you said earlier, I hate adding $50,000 to the budget every year from here on out. So I'm kind of on the fence right now. Just wonder if there's not another way to get it done.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same place, maybe leaning a little more towards supporting it. Yeah, I totally get the language issue and I want to support that as much as I can. I agree if a grant was available or Purdue were to step up and say, you need this, and of course then it might come back onto our contractual amount anyway.
Can I ask, would you be willing to support it at a $10,000 amount to get us started and just see how we could utilize this person?
Well, that was one of my thoughts was let's start at a lower level and see what kind of benefit we actually have. I'm pretty darn sure I see people standing here next year saying, it worked great, let's give you more money. I'm pretty sure my crystal ball tells me that, but no, that's what I was thinking of. Also, I think what I would ask, and I'll ask the board to do this is what I did earlier. I said, give me the next 2 weeks so I can look at it, talk about, consider the request. You can come back on for 10 minutes then, or if you don't want to. I would recommend you were here, I guess, that way, if we have questions or something, we could do that. Again, what I mentioned earlier was, if you come in and want a bilingual person, there might be 5 other departments that want a bilingual person as well, or earlier they wanted to change something and bring on somebody instead of part-time and full-time, and again, we have to discuss priorities and which one, if we have 10 people ask, which ones do we put forth. So I guess my response or my question would be, request would be, unless they can outvote me and approve it today if they want, but just if it was up to me, you'd come back in 2 weeks, and at that time, between now and then, you'd have more of a detailed plan of what this person will do, what we can expect, what their category is, just so we know exactly what we're getting ourselves into.
So you'd like a job description?
A job description.
Okay.
Because when I asked one lady, maybe 2 days a week, what will they get paid? Well, not, you know what I mean? Just so we have a little more concrete of what the actual ask is. And I would be on the part of saying, let's start at the very bare minimum starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly somebody can help get the documents done, the preliminary documents, and then they go to the classroom a few times. We can see how it works out. That's where I would be.
I really don't have anything additional to add. I agree. I want to support it, but I just feel like I need to know more about it before
No, I'm good with that, and to your point on 10,000, or a lower number. And then going back to what you said a while ago about contracting some of these services. For example, I'm thinking about translating your documents into Spanish. Is there some vendor that would do that for you? So maybe there's a combination of
Well, we do it with Word. When we do it for the Word,
Well,
course,
that
seriously,
works.
we write it in English and then there's a conversion thing in Word.
I still don't think you're gonna get the highest quality doing that.
Just saying that's how we do it.
Yeah,
But
we're running into a lot of that.
But then you have to print it, and that's, of course, your employee wouldn't print it either. They would just prepare the document.
Is there anyone that's employed with the county that does speak Spanish that we could utilize more broadly throughout the county?
Kitty does.
Okay,
That's who we use when we have somebody walk in.
okay. We currently have been working with
And
Rosina
The
Sandoval.
courts use, Sister Mary Jude Fly.
Like,
Okay.
and she's expensive, I believe.
I don't know who does it.
I remember looking at them, I'm thinking it was $50 an hour, $100.
Yeah,
I don't know, this makes me wonder, like, I mean, what other departments would use this?
Well,
I'm
we
assuming.
kind of thought about that in addition. I guess whenever, when I think about Spencer County and Davies County, they've been able to really expand their programming to the Hispanic community because they have been able to get someone on staff or work with their county to figure out that cultural difference that we have going on. Why are they not attending? Why do they not feel welcome in our 4-H program? Why are they not attending our 4-H programs? Because there's a cultural barrier there that we're not able to get across, and it's less about us not speaking their language, and it's more about we don't know what their needs are, and it's difficult to reach them. It's very difficult for us to reach them because we're not a part of their community, and we're not going to just jump in and become a part of their community. We need to have a connection there. And so whether that is someone that's hired for the whole county that we can all use in that way, that can benefit all of our county offices, or it's someone just for our office that we can lend out if they need. They're housed in our office and we can lend them to a county office if they need. What does that look like, and how can we all work together to benefit that? Whether that is when they need to pay property taxes or whatever it is, how can we help partner with all the county offices to help benefit that. Because one of those things is, everybody in Dubois County is mandated to take our co-parenting class whenever they are getting a divorce. So people that speak only Spanish get a divorce in our county, and when they call our office and they have to figure out how to take our English class, the only option they have is our online portion because it is in Spanish. But they can't come to our in-person class like everybody else can because we don't have any.
I think this is a neat thing that's been brought up, and I do think that there is when I was in the treasurer's office, there were many times that I would have preferred to have an adult to speak to instead of a 5-year-old translating for grandpa. It makes, you don't know what you're missing there, and we want to serve all of the people that live in citizens of Dubois County, so.
To your point about cultural, understanding the cultural needs and that sort of thing, is that,
we have been trying to work with Alasi, they just don't get back to us quickly at all. It's not for us at this point. I have tried numerous times. My best outreach is Rosina Sandoval. She is our outreach coordinator with Southwest Dubois Schools. She's been very helpful, but she also doesn't have the time to do everything that we need done in order to, God bless her, she does the best job she can.
She's helping a lot with the Juntos program.
Yes,
Which is going to take
she's
all
going
of
to be
her
a
time,
co-coordinator for our Juntos program, and she's not going to get paid anything extra.
Selfishly thinking about health and human sciences and then ag and natural resources, I don't have Rosina. She's not a resource for me. She's going to be all tied up in the Juntos and the 4-H. And, we have a little bit over 3,400 Hispanic people in Dubois County, and their mortality rate for things like diabetes and fatty liver disease, which comes from obesity, is 50% compared to you and I. So to me, that right there is really scary. I mean, that's 1,700 people. If all of the Hispanic population got diabetes, 1,700 people could potentially die because I can't educate them on how to change their diet. So that really, for me, that kind of hits home in that I don't have Rosina to help me make a difference in that arena.
Do you have somebody in mind already?
I do not have someone in mind, but I'm hoping to advertise broadly and kind of work through Rosina, because I know she has several people lined up that want to help with the Juntos program, and they want these positions to be available and be able to help their community in that way. There are just not a lot of those opportunities right now.
It would be nice to have someone that can be a shared asset. So even if it is under your office, if we started to do it one day a week, then the person could.
We did, and we got a request at this time for you to be up at the assessor's office or wherever you need to be.
Definitely might be a benefit to that. So
we're definitely open to that.
So maybe just sharpen the pencil, find out exactly what you've got, get something to us in the next 7-8 days so that we have it, or 10 days before our next meeting, that we can review it and you can come back in and we'll have this discussion again.
Sounds wonderful.
Does that sound okay to the other commissioners?
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lisa, is she gonna be coming to?
She's going to be.
I don't know if they know this.
Okay, sorry. Chelsea's moving into the county extension director role in our county, so she'll be your point person from now on, though we're both still there and we'll both be available to help you. It's just the 4-H program takes a lot, and so, and I'm also taking on some additional roles, so she's gonna be your point person.
Is that the position Jan Dugan was in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I now assume both of Jan's responsibilities.
All right, thank you.
We also are still very interested in moving into this building.
If it becomes available, yes. Thank you.
I gotta put that in there every chance I get.
Full plug.
Yeah. Shameless.
Great, okay, thanks. Mr. Wendell, would you like to please tell us what your findings are on the bids?
Okay. All the bids were complete and accurate, no issues with any of them. So I'd like to make the following recommendation. So for the community crossing packet, awarded to CNR Construction in the amount of $712,000 14250. You want to read them all off and approve them all at the same time, probably?
Well,
Sure.
did you put a little bid on all of them?
Yes, but do I need to? I don't know. I got going with $3 amount. I'm going to read off each
Just
contract.
read off, as long as it's a low
Yeah.
dollar amount, I think if you read off the winning bidder
Okay.
and the bid, do we have to make the bids available to others to review? Is that what's?
What I will do is I will send the bid tabs to all the people that sent bids, and then they are available in our office for anybody to review if they wish to review them. We make
That's
them
what I was making sure that people could see what we do. I want to be transparent.
Right. I send everything all to all the advertisement, a contractor advertiser that comes in, so they ask for the stuff. I send it to them. I guess they disperse if somebody's on there, and they always ask for them. There's 2 of them. I send it to them as well. So I try to be as transparent, and then they're always there. Aaron leaves them there for a year in case anybody has an issue. Then we follow them after that.
Okay, so bid tabulation will be read off by project name, number, and low bidder.
Low bidder. Okay, so 2107, which is 600 West. I recommend awarding that to Calcar Paving. 2108, Ackermann Road, Northwest Suburban Subdivision. I recommend awarding to E&B Paving. Ellsworth Road, 2109, to CNR Construction. 2110, County Road 420 South, 170 East, and 430 South, to CNR Construction as well.
And what was the first 3 packages, 01, 02, 03?
2101 is Jasper Dubois Road, 2102 is Division Road, and 2103 is 575 East.
And the low bidder was?
CNR Construction.
So do these have acceleration clauses in them, things like that?
No.
We need to.
What I do is I give them a time frame. They've got to be started by a certain date and finished by a certain date. So and if they don't,
Price of petroleum goes up?
that's on them.
On them?
These numbers are set. That's why it's kind of important that we go ahead and get this done. The community crossing one, especially because of getting our money and getting our contract signed and all that stuff. So that's the main part for this one. But the rest of them is to get them set. They're in.
Main reason I bring that up is there any way that who's the low bid today doesn't end up?
If they decide to go on, we can go with the next lowest, but if that would happen, I would have to get formal approval. It's never happened.
But there's no way that CNR on package 1, 2, and 3, their price can't be any higher than what they've said there.
Correct. Now, I apologize for that. That is, okay, so their price per ton cannot change. Sorry. If, let's say we go out there and one of the roads blows up, let's say they had a bad winter, there's a soft spot that I see, we start driving trucks over it and we gotta lay more asphalt to help repair it, then we pay that same amount per ton. We award based off of low bid, but there's a chance that we could add more tons for the job. But all that has to be per my approval. They can't just go out there and throw more tons down.
And send us a bigger bill.
Exactly. Yes.
That's with the change orders.
Yeah, the change
Based
orders.
on
are
the
there.
change, yeah.
Yeah, so that extra tonnage has to be approved by me or extra work before we give them more money.
So if everything ran perfectly, if one more ton was needed on this project, it would have been needed by anybody we gave it to.
Correct.
Okay, so we have the low bidders have been read to us. Do we have any questions or comments on it?
Completion dates on all of these are this year?
Yes, they are. Well, this fall, yes, but they will be done before November 1st. I know they're all done before November 1st.
Okay. Any other discussion? I move that we accept the low bids on the paving projects as they've been presented to us. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
I'll get them all notified, we get letters sent out.
I really like the competitiveness of, we've got 3 or 4.
That are right there.
companies that are, competing pretty, and it hasn't always been that way.
No, this is nice. This is nice to see that, especially considering we've ordered 3 of the 4. So this is nice to see.
Is there anything is there a way to give, if one company gets multiple bids, that there's a better price for that, or is there any benefit do you see where I'm going with
That's
that?
the reason the community crossings is bid the way it is, because usually you can get a better price as you lump them all together.
Right.
But the reason we don't do it for all of them, because the northern ones seem to go to Calcar. That's kind of where their money area is. The southern ones, E&B, CNRs come in, and they've been real competitive. So that's the reason
we kind of bid them separate. If I guess I could go in and bid southern half and northern half, but every once in a while, CalCar, you get pretty competitive prices. I'm afraid if I don't, they may start figuring it out and we get.
You don't want to cut anybody out by having too big of projects either. Okay,
we've been real successful doing this manner, so I don't compare to other
Don't
counties.
mess with it.
I know, that's why I don't want to upset the apple cart, we've been really successful doing this.
You've got
We'll get a better price in the region that we're paying.
You've got three companies to manage now, but at the same time, perhaps getting it done might be.
Exactly. We run 3 crews at the same time almost, almost all we pay at the same time.
Anything else for Mr. Wendell?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, we've just had this handed, this is hot off the press there. So each of you want to pass it down, please. These are our updated jail construction numbers and.
I didn't print it.
So.
You're on your limit of mine.
See at the very bottom.
We are starting to use the 9.6 million of the bond. We just started using that, so.
Okay.
I guess when they, if somebody said they wanted to see smaller numbers, they should.
I didn't print it, Mary did. The other thing, I did change the address. The trustee was mailing everything to 602 Main, and it was going to the prosecutor, it was going to HR, it was going to small things, so I changed that address. Come to my office.
I haven't been out there, there's a lot of dirt moving around.
I don't think so yet, it's been too rainy.
They've got the silk fence up.
Yeah, they put silk fence on, that's true.
They tore down some of the razor wire around the back. Razor wire chain link fence. And yeah, that's all I've seen so far. I kind of keep an eye out from town help.
Yeah, I saw them put that silk fence up right away.
I was worried, I was worried that we were going to.
German American Insurance would like to have a cookout for the employees that they've done in the past. They're looking in October. They want to know if you're still okay with that. People go over their lunch hour and have food farm, so.
No problem here.
Nope. Okay, fine.
The July 6th meeting, again, I'm not gonna be here for that, but you're saying our budget will actually be the following week?
Well, we'll start working on it. Like I have, your next agenda is very, very full, all the way through lunch at least, and you keep adding on. I'm still confirming some dates with some people, so, and some times. And then we'll work on we'll work on the budget after that, because I've got the SERS and Life Springs and Corner House.
And if we, it may be too late now, because I already talked to all these people, but if they're not requesting any more than last year, the odds are that there won't be many questions and they'll
Right,
get
it'll go
approved
pretty
quickly. So I don't know if we need 15 minutes between them and, so like if Life Springs, we don't have a say in it.
There's statutory.
So, sir, she's asking, if they're each saying the same thing, we can squeeze them.
Well, I think their thing is this is their opportunity to give you an update on their programs, so I hate that. But I understand.
Starting on the
But,
board,
I mean, I'm already at
boards,
12:30.
We can tag
It's this guy called Chad.
Oh,
Now, I did get to take one thing off because you approved the resolution already, or the ordinance already, so I took that off.
Anything, that I missed?
No, we were just talking about you.
Good. All
No,
right,
I-
so.
the only thing I was gonna add on that.
Well,
July
do you want me to
6th.
kind of keep July 6th small then?
Well,
I'm gonna miss part of July 6th too. I know I don't vote, but I forgot about the day of change. I have a mediation on it, so.
Would it be better
I think we'll survive without Mr. Schneider for a
I
couple hours.
am 100%.
I don't want to throw a wrench in, I just got a text from my wife asking if that would be available July 6th, because she's trying to plan a trip out west this year. To Grandma, and I guess we have an obligation in St. Louis, which puts us a ways towards there.
and moving the meeting a week really screws up the timing of the budget stuff, doesn't it? And
Well, if you
plus you've got
go
all
before the
those people.
6th, like
I
you
mean,
go.
I will be here one way or the other if we decide to have a meeting on the 6th.
I haven't gone the Monday before the 6th.
Well, what about Friday or something like that versus,
Well, I'm going.
I haven't scheduled anything on the 6th yet.
Okay,
I mean, it'd be,
The only thing written on here is highway.
and I'd probably have access to
Okay.
Zoom.
now I just got another text, she said maybe we could try to work it in the week prior to, so that we're back in time to.
I
Like I
prefer to
said-
keep it on the sixth if you.
If we could, let's leave it on the sixth. I'll make.
Because that's what we were already.
I'll make this work, because I mean, it's not like I don't work around meetings before. I just hope I'm not rolling in the night of the fifth.
On the 22nd, I'll be leaving town for a couple of weeks almost. So I'll put on an email contact you two. So
22nd of June.
yeah, so you may be getting more calls or something than you had previously. I'm gonna do my best to keep this turned off.
My number is 99999.
555.
7001.
No, it is not.
Okay, the last thing I think I have one more thing on my list, and then we can go back to whatever else we've got here. My final thing was we received notices from the city of Huntingburg and the city of Jasper that they will not have any excess assessed value to pass through to overlapping units next year. And so I just looked at that briefly. The letter said that the central district, that's the one that stood out to me a little bit. It said the central district would have no excess either. I don't know how it's statutorily defined what excess is. I think it's probably up to the unit to make the determination. They could have
It's up to their redevelopment commission.
they could have an unlimited amount of money and say that there's no excess. So I don't know if there's a statutory.
Well, they're not really passing through money, they're passing through assessed value, which
translates.
equates to money on our side.
Right, so how, what is excess
Well,
value?
if they're,
What- give me an
say
example of
they're, say they're, assessed, and this is kind of my understanding, the assessed value is X.
that. Okay,
And they don't, and they
The
need that to
base- the
support
basics.
their bonds, not the base, because we
No.
have the base,
okay,
their growth. They have this much to support their bonds, but then their assessed value has excess. So they don't need this money on that, what this assessed value would bring in. So they only need 100,000 and they could collect more, that's what they could pass through.
okay, but it's the assessed value of growth.
Of their growth,
Of their
yes,
growth.
not the base.
Okay, what happens to reassessment, inflationary?
Every year, that is neutralized by a
That
neutralization.
changes the base.
So it changes the base to capture, to neutralize that effect.
Okay, okay.
So when they say, like Jasper told us, bring projects to us, well, they really can't, we can't just go there and say, we want you to do a road. It has to be serving that district or serving, something that'll serve that area.
Right, but you also said vehicles don't apply.
Yeah, and they told me vehicles do
For
not apply.
example, the example I gave somebody was, we provide the emergency services to that area, so why would an ambulance or a portion of an ambulance or the equipment that goes in the ambulance not be applied to that? I don't know what else.
There are units out there, there are redevelopments that have done a police car that serves it or a fire, but they just really kind of looked at it and said, they don't really think vehicles. That's just what he told me.
You know, emergency services and criminal justice, what else do we provide?
911.
Emergency.
Well, and I made it, because Travis and I were having a conversation, and he said, well, I'm at the airport over here, how can they serve me except for the students that I use from their school districts that are in that, because they do have students over there. That's kind of what his letter was asking for. But we didn't, I think we
It
need.
might have to be creative, but I think we could create some need that we have.
Well, I did ask,
That benefits that district.
when I forwarded that to you, I asked Paul, hey, why were we not invited to that redevelopment so we could present or be informed like we were for Jasper? And he didn't, maybe he would reach out to somebody like that. As I said, my question is, Huntingburg stiffs have been going on for 20 plus years. When's their sunset? When are they going to be ending? When are they going to start passing through?
Yeah, and how much money is in
I
it?
didn't get any answers.
So you'd have to do the research yourself.
Well, I think he, as a redevelopment commission, plans on providing some of that to us.
I think I think by statute they're required to.
Right, and we really should have been invited to the meeting, but we weren't.
Yeah.
That I know of.
So my comment on that central district again is that they have a balance in the account now, and it's going to be growing strongly every year. At what point is it excess? I guess that's what I was thinking about.
Well, they're supposed to have
Whatever they say, I guess.
supposed to have a plan for what they're, I mean, they TIFed it for a reason, and now they need to be doing projects too in that TIF area.
And my guess is they would prefer that we, even if they did projects for us, they would prefer it that way rather than to
Get rid of the TIF.
get rid of the excess assessed value, because they then still have control over it.
Correct. They get 100% control instead of their portion.
Well, their thoughts are they bring in more business, more industry, more stuff, and then that spurs us to get growth from that area
In the end.
in the end. You know, they bring in a business,
Well, okay.
people move here, people,
Sure.
you know.
It increases the income taxes, it increases other taxes.
I mean, there's definitely, I don't want to badmouth either the cities, they're great, and the leadership there is great, they're doing the best for their people, but as I mentioned before, I like TIFs being limited to have a bond, have a project, they do that project, and then it goes away. Not to leave it open-ended where it's a funding mechanism for general purposes instead of specific projects.
And the future TIFs that start after a certain time period have sunsets on them. Some of those beginning ones that Huntingburg got do not, and they should. I mean, they should come to an end sometime.
I thought they were 20 years usually, or was you saying before?
There was no sunset on the beginning ones.
Wasn't there some mechanism that they used to re-TIF it that's not.
Rebond or buy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
extend the deadline.
Sandy, I don't remember, the TIF district, the one over in Huntingburg, that was.
There's 7 in Huntingburg.
Okay, there was one particular, I think, on Phoenix Drive, I think that was, don't they have to specify what it was for, like for the infrastructure? You know, like if there's new water lines or roadways or something like that, don't they have to, or are they open-ended?
No, they're to develop an area.
Okay.
So.
Mr. Schneer, is this something where they can, let's say what they did is put sewer into a new area that needed developed. Once that's paid for, can they not change their plan to say, we also need to upgrade the road? Or, I mean, you can always add or subtract things from your plan, right?
To that area, yes.
So if you have a TIF district that runs the whole length of the city, you can always add new projects, take away new projects within that, as long as it serves that district.
Right.
It's not like on day one, you say, we're gonna set up a TIF so that we can put sewer in on Fifth Street. Then once the sewer's done at Fifth Street, you have to do a new one, it's left open-ended.
Yes.
To amend as they see fit.
Yeah, you know, the riverfront down there, that, I mean, they bonded some of that, and the TIF revenues are going to pay those bonds. And at the present time, it's barely doing that. I mean, there's no excess, not really any excess.
95% or whatever is used for that.
Yeah, but in time to come, there may be, and then it's a matter of, okay, now what are we gonna use the rest for?
Right.
And, yeah, they can come up with another, as long as it fits that district. Or we can come up with one and they might.
And it can also be that it serves that district, like we talked about, though they're not approving vehicles, it doesn't. If you have a fire, you put up a fire station, it doesn't have to be in that district as long as it serves that.
Serves that district, yeah.
Or, you know, I think of the riverfront TIF district over here, the repairs we made to the Newton Street Bridge. When LAN came in and made the repairs to the bridge, because that bridge serves that district. You know, I don't know if that would be included, but, you know, something to keep in mind.
But those dollars can only be used for that anyways, right?
The Cume Bridge dollars, kind of used towards bridges.
But I guess you can use them on another bridge instead, right?
Yes, exactly.
We'll have to figure out.
And also, well, I don't know that we have a need, but counties can have TIFs as well. If we wanted to do one for a residential section, for example, you could do a residential TIF. And there's places, other counties that do that. If we said, we want to support people living out in the county, we're putting a new sewer in from Hayesville to Jasper, let's support a subdivision in 600 North or whatever.
Well, or even just the TIF district in that example of Hayesville. As the sewer goes in and it could spur growth, we could have more housing go up out there because it's now easier to approve subdivisions. Maybe that.
Now, there is new laws about schools have to be in on that if it's residential.
And that's fine. I don't want to leave the schools out to have to drive any of that. If I was doing it, because, if we want people to move here, we got to support schools because that's part of, that's what I'm going to wait
That's
to
what
move
draws
somewhere.
them in.
Right.
That's an added benefit.
So did you do that meeting as well? There was a meeting, a Zoom meeting on TIF districts. Did you watch that? There was a guy from Baker Tilly, there was a person from a town. Did you do that participate?
I don't think so.
No. Pretty interesting.
I just always ask now if I have any questions, if he always answers me.
Anything else from the attorney?
No, sir.
Auditor?
I think I have my questions.
Commissioners?
Nothing.
Public? We adjourn.